You're listening to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Talk Star Wars is a production of Emotionally 14. For fantastic podcasts, video series, blog posts, and much more, visit us on the web at emotionally14.com and enjoy content for the permanently teenaged. Hello there, and welcome back to Talk Star Wars, an Emotionally 14 production, episode 169. I'm Rob.
And I'm your Padawan, Brad.
Hello there.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm a little older since last time we spoke.
Oh, yes, of course you are,
yes.
You old git.
Yeah. It was
younger
it was a
than
jolly nice time, and thank you to everybody who sent me messages on the day. It's very kind. You know, a few people on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and it's all appreciated. Patent pending.
Mm-hmm. Did you get anything cool? Anything Star Wars related?
I got nothing Star Wars related. To be honest, I didn't get many gifts this year, and I think that's partly because I'm really useless to buy for as gift recipients go. I'm one of those really annoying people who, if I like something enough, I'll just keep it to myself and wait for a sale.
Yeah, no, I'm similar. Yeah. Sometimes I don't even wait for a sale.
Yeah, it's been known. It's been known for sure. I have my eye currently on, in terms of media, the Blu-ray box set of the Batman animated series. Oh, lovely! Increasingly tempted.
Does that need a Blu-ray remaster?
Apparently, it is a remaster, not just not just a transfer. It's a conversion and a touch up as well.
Animation that probably will be nice. Actually, it'll certainly smooth out any rough edges.
Yeah, a lot of I know what you mean. A lot of the time with animated series or even certain older movies, I tend to go, does that really? I mean, I have Mrs. Doubtfire on Blu-ray, but do I really notice the quality difference?
My dad has Nosferatu on Blu-ray. I'm just like, really? What are you expecting?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sometimes if they go back and do like a really genuine clean-up.
Yes.
But no, generally the consensus of older films is, it's good, but there are limits.
Yeah, exactly. It's, I mean, if you think back to, having said that, I was so impressed by the special editions of Star Wars in '97. Because they were, again, that was a project of significance. There was a big, they were doing a big change to it. You could see, they did documentaries and little behind the scenes things, and you saw the before and after of the film, certainly the beginning of the film. Mm-hmm. And, that impressed me enough that it set the bar quite high when it comes to remasters. I tend to look upon them quite cynically as anything other than high quality conversions will not do.
Yeah, generally anything Arrow do, they're very good at remasters.
Yes, that's true.
That's what they've made their name doing, is cult movies like VHS classics, and just giving them this superb trip. But they go the whole hog with like liner notes and fold out packaging and stuff. They really do a fantastic job. But certainly when Blu-ray first became a thing, a lot of people were just ripping DVDs and putting them on a Blu-ray disc.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've got Caddyshack on Blu-ray, but it's. The gopher only looks so real.
Is it fair to say it's fine? It's fine,
but it just looks like a DVD rip. And it was the same when DVDs first came out. Sometimes it was just a VHS rip straight to disc.
Yeah, no, I can understand it when you're early on in the tech. Yeah. If you just want to get something out there so that people can upgrade, and then later on maybe you do your sort of anniversary edition or whatever it is. Yeah. What was the first Blu-ray you purchased out of interest?
Oh wow, first Blu-ray I purchased.
Oh, DVDs as well. I mean, I'm curious across the medium.
The first DVD I bought was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid for some. I think they used to do like 2 for £20, and I got that and something else. But Butch Cassidy sticks in my mind. So obviously, the other one can't have been that significant.
Apparently
but
not.
I think it was just a case of I didn't own. It was a film I liked. I didn't own it on VHS and quite fancied it. And I think at the time they did make an effort with the packaging and stuff, because I seem to remember it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, nice. I remember mine, for DVDs, it was The Wedding Singer, the Adam Sandler comedy, which I'm
not so sure you should have looked at me quite so snidely when I said Butch Cassidy was Sundance Kid now.
No, it wasn't what I was expecting you to say.
Okay.
I thought it would be a Romero film, to be honest. That would be my first pick.
Butch Cassidy was the other one. It was Butch Cassidy was Sundance Kid and Get Carter were 2 for £20.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, it was a bit of left field for me. But
a bit of a curveball, but at the same time, I'm pleased that it was, pleasantly surprised.
I'm trying to remember what the first Blu-ray I bought was.
I'm pretty sure mine was 300.
But it was one of the early ones.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was a good. I think that was a good reason to upgrade. That was That was a good one to get. I don't think I had the DVD. Similarly to your experience with buying Butch Cassidy. Yeah,
I think I might have acquired some or just been passed on some. I think the first one I went out of my way to actively buy on Blu-ray rather than DVD was Akira.
Okay.
And I'm not generally an anime fan, but I really like Akira, and that's worth having on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially as it was a completely different English dub from when I'd had it on VHS as a kid. They'd gone back and obviously retranslated it with, it has to be said, better translators. So the story actually makes a lot more sense now. I always thought it did on VHS, but it kind of aligns a bit better across the whole film, I suppose.
Yeah, you kind of think, oh, I see. That makes a little bit more sense given the context of what's going on. Yeah. I think the first Blu-ray I ever got, as in including stuff that was kind of passed to me, was Casino Royale, which was another similarly good Blu-ray experience. Yeah, the Daniel Craig one,
Yeah, cool.
In terms of DVDs I got, I couldn't tell you. It probably was The Wedding Singer. I think that was the first one I ever had.
Yeah.
I think it was when I had my PlayStation 2. I think that was my first my first DVD player, I should say. Mm-hmm. Generally, I tend to end up with games consoles as my first players because I already have them. So it makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense for me to use them for media as well. Yeah. Although the disc players on those things tend to be some of the worst.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the console's Blu-ray drive software. No. Both PlayStation and Xbox are prone to a lot of issues in my experience.
Yeah, I agree. But it used to be, for you younger people listening out there, it used to be the PS2 and the Xbox One, the original Xbox. The Xbox were cheap DVD players for some people, whereas now they're obviously expensive DVD players. Yes. If that's what you're going to use them for.
Yeah,
but some people were buying them principally as a DVD player that could also play games on. That's a bigger price difference it was.
For sure. And I mean, this is obviously thinking back to those days, internet connections were not so prevalent. And with the PlayStation 3 especially, it was seen as one of the best Blu-ray players, partly because the firmware was really easy to update, whereas other Blu-ray players were not internet connected.
Kids, if you wanted to update the firmware on your DVD player, you used to have to download a file, burn it to a CD, and then play the CD.
Yeah.
In your DVD player, which is feels almost a bit like saving Spectrum programs to tape. That's how Neolithic it feels in comparison.
And for those playing along at home, Spectrums, I feel like we've already lost them with VHS and DVD, and kids just stream stuff directly from space into their eyeballs now.
Oh, so sometimes you just have to turn your head to look at a different cave painting. That's what it's like when we were.
You had cave paintings, lucky.
Yeah. Right, Ultimate Yorkshireman, that's what we're doing.
Talk Yorkshire. York Star Wars.
Yeah.
In terms of Star Wars, so we'll circle back to Star Wars this way. We'll segue back this way. Did you have, when it came to the DVDs, did you buy the trilogy when it came out, or did you wait for the individuals?
The DVDs. I think certainly I've owned several versions.
I have
or
too.
My family owned several versions. The versions growing up with, I think, were taped off for TV, because I think that was the only way you could get them for a while.
I had the VHSs. Yeah, until the special editions, and then we got the special editions.
We did get VHS, and then we had the VHS special editions.
Yep.
I think I was still living at home when the silver DVD box set came out that had.
I know the one.
It was a 4-disc one. It had the trilogy and the bonus disc.
That's right.
That was a version I had at home. And then when I moved out, I bought the individual films because for some reason that was cheaper. But my DVDs are the ones that have the original versions on the second disc.
Oh, the Laserdisc transfer ones.
Yes.
So I know the ones. I have those too.
One disc is a special edition and one disc is the original transfer.
Yeah, I have those too. So I bought the trilogy when it came out on DVD because I was always going to be on that early on. And then I bought the individual films because of the Laserdisc transfers of the original cuts. I still haven't got around to watching them. So it's one of those, typical kind of Rob Wade standard. Yeah. It's standard fare for me.
I think it was a bit of a middle finger, to be honest. I think so. A lot of people wanted what they described as a D special edition. They wanted the audio and video remaster without the stuff like the Jabba scene and without the windows in Cloud City and all the extra what you think of as the special edition changes. And it's not. It's just for original rip.
Yeah.
It's like, right, if you want the original version, you'll have the original version and you bloody like it.
Which, it's more than they could have done. Yeah. They could have just said, no, lump
totally.
it.
Yeah. I know my mum and dad have bought it on iTunes as well. I'm holding off on that because I'm waiting for Disney Plus.
Okay. Yeah, I have. So I have them on. Blimey, I have the DVD.
I do now have the Blu-rays as well.
Okay. I have the. So I have the original DVD trilogy on the silver box set, the one you mentioned.
Yep.
I have the non-special and special edition individual films. I did have for a while the prequel trilogy on DVD, but I got rid of those because I then went to buy the Blu-ray set. So I have all the films on Blu-ray. I also have all the films on iTunes. Other services are available, and I have the saga there too. So I have the original 6 on Amazon as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because it was there was some day where it was just some ludicrously good price, like it was £8 for the entire saga or something crazy like that, and I just thought, I'm having that.
Yeah,
it's nice.
I think soundtracks I bought on MP3. I had Revenge of the Sith on CD as well. Because it also came with a DVD that was like a best of Star Wars music put to animatics and narrated by Ian McDermott, which is
I know the one.
Which was still knocking around. It's probably in my loft, but I don't know any of them on LP so far, which is rating. I
had the
just because there's some really nice vinyl pressings.
Yeah,
have you seen the hologram one?
Yes, I think you showed me that. That's pretty impressive.
For as you haven't seen it, there's the centre of the record is actually a hologram. So if you shine a torch or your timing strobe on it, it just is a TIE fighter spins around in the middle of your record.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think in terms of the soundtracks, I think I have the original 6 on CD. I don't think I have 7 and 8. I might have 7 actually.
I've just Spotify them. I definitely had one. I'd say I had 3 on CD. Subsequently ripped to my computer because that's what you could do back in the day.
Yep.
Then all the others I bought. I think there was some MP3 bundle. I got everything, and I did have Shadows of the Empire on MP3 as well.
I think I had an MP3 of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have 7 actually. Now I think about it, maybe I don't.
I think I only ever Spotify'd it.
I've got Rogue One and I've got Solo. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use CDs at all anymore. It's all Spotify or LP in my house.
Yeah, I have some CDs still, but mainly it tends to be when I buy a digital copy and it comes with a CD for cheaper than the digital copy by itself. In which case, I might as well, right?
Yeah, no, I tend to use Spotify for everything. And to me, Spotify is for most music. I will buy the LP if it's like. The yardstick is, if this was a film, would I fork out for the special 2-disc fold-out special edition? And if I would, then that's when I get them on LP. So I will get the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
Eventually.
It's on the list.
Yeah, but vinyl's not cheap at the moment.
No, that's fair. I mean, it's a bit of a niche that's kind of having a little bit of a resurgence among.
It's a bit of a resurgence. Even some of the older, tattier stuff that you used to be able to get for £1 in a charity shop is now going 20 odd quid on eBay.
Yeah,
and people are buying it.
Yeah,
so,
I think hipsters are a factor, but I think also there's I think it's also partly a gravitation towards things you can physically, tangibly hold as well. Not just like it's not just the hipster element of it, although I think that is a factor. Yeah, especially because of the stuff that they choose to repress on vinyl now is very kind of like
I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's hard to explain it without sounding too.
No, it does a lot of it does intentionally target a cult sector of the audience.
Yeah,
they're not. Obviously, you can go on Tesco and you can buy Dark Side on LP, but there's the more middle of the road music isn't getting reprinted. It's video game soundtracks and classic hip hop albums and stuff like that that's getting, as you say, the hipster treatment, really.
Yeah, which is, more power to them. And if people want it, then more power to them too.
There's a mutual friend of ours has a Gunstar Heroes soundtrack on vinyl, and I'm pretty envious of that.
Yeah, well, quite. It's a cracking soundtrack, and I can totally see the appeal.
I actually got into LPs purely for soundtracks because I like to listen to them when I'm writing.
Okay.
And there was a lot of stuff that wasn't available on Spotify or MP3, so that's how it started. Was me getting some movie soundtracks or putting up a cheap record deck and drove that into the ground and then upgraded. And that's it's mostly soundtrack albums are my thing, plus a few other odds and sods. Yeah,
nice. I was about to say something about not vinyl so much. But I definitely have the saga on CD, the original 6, I should say, the Lucas saga on CD. I have Rogue One and Solo digitally, and I think I also have Solo on CD. I don't have Rogue One because that was one of those ones where the digital was just cheaper, so go for it. And then, like I say, I've got the films kind of in most formats. I don't have it on Google, but then I think I have some Clone Wars there, so I'm kind of spread relatively. I'm loyal to so many places.
Soundtrack, actually. Yeah. I can't remember if I have a Clone Wars soundtrack or not. I can always check my Amazon account later on.
Yeah. So I'm loyal to so many places. It's just that's the best way of putting it.
Kind of interesting signing you up for our treason card.
Yeah. Well, what happens when you complete it? It's treason then.
Yeah.
So I won't lie. It's a good thing we're good at, generally. Yeah, but I mean, specifically in this case.
It's a good thing we messaged you half hour already, is what you're about to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good thing that, just the conversation of how's your week been is enough to keep us going for about 15 minutes because we've been a little bit thin on the ground in terms of input this week from our wonderful listeners, much as we appreciate them still.
Yeah,
it is a little bit short on contributions. However, the Star Wars news gods have seen fit to give us a little bit of a tidbit. But in the meantime, I will read from our input this week from Vesuvi, because, of course, if anybody's going to write in, it's going to be Vesuvi. Yeah. She is loyal to a fault. Thanks, Rob. Happy belated birthday. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad. Congratulations on your knighthood, Daniel. Yes, of course, Daniel Thorpe was knighted as part of the Nerd Room's most recent knighting. Since you asked, the Wikipedia quote, Gungan personal energy shields were also capable of repelling force lightning, is my only source on that matter. And as Brad stated, it's attributed to a StarWars.com poll. She included a link for our benefit.
Yeah.
That sounds like an official declaration. Perhaps the quality is only known out of universe, and yet to be discovered in universe? So don't be surprised if a descendant of Jar Jar or Captain Tarpals pops up brandishing one of these gadgets in Episode 9 during the showdown with Palpatine.
Oh, Darth Jar Jar confirmed.
Yeah, I will be surprised.
Yes.
Because that sounds ludicrous.
It does.
I like being surprised.
Weirder.
I'm okay with being surprised. It works for me. Yeah. Nice catch by Diecast Desperado with Olivia Darbo's cross-franchise contributions. She is prolific. This is true.
She's nice catch.
The Troy
Formatively
Baker.
obscure, whatever you want to call it.
Nice catch, deep cut. We appreciate them all. During Stu's recasting exercise, I especially loved your suggestion of John Malkovich as a rebooted Tarkin. When we get to the prequels, I'd like to be the new Jira because my bones are always aching.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want.
If I get put in charge of casting, you're a shoo-in, Vesuvi, I'll tell you now.
We're going to cast Peter Stormare as for Sand.
Yes, because no, that's not fair. He's not coarse and irritating and gets everywhere, unless you're scenery.
True. Yeah, he's not everywhere enough.
No, exactly. And unless you're scenery, he's not coarse and irritating to you. Would either of you keep an Anuba as a pet? Considering my zoological history, I'd probably have dozens of Tukas. Your Tartius Cherry Pop-Tart, Vesuvi, Knight of the Commonwealth. So I must confess, without checking the link, I'm not 100% sure of an Anuba. So I'm going to... Oh, okay.
They were kind of like dingo type things, weren't they?
They're on in Rebels. And they appear in Clone Wars as well, by the looks.
Okay, must be what I know them from.
They're sort of almost like shadow tigers.
Yeah, shygers,
Yeah, I've got a picture here. I don't know how clearly you can see that.
Yeah, I thought they were like jackal type creatures.
Jackals are much better explanation, to be honest. I can certainly see how Vesuvi would be drawn to multiple tigers because they are quite cute.
Yes. I don't know what I'd have as a Star Wars pet, to be honest.
No, I know what you mean. Because as much as I'd love to think, I'd have a Rancor, and I'd hire Anthony Hopkins to take care of it in a wonderful callback.
Yep.
As much as I say that, I know my limits when it comes to tigers, for example. I love tigers as a good, as an aside.
I know they're your thing.
Yeah. Especially Siberian tigers, the white ones.
Yes.
I love them. Yeah. And as much as I love them, I know me keeping one as a pet in any respect, however well they were treated, is not to be. And in the same way, I feel like a Rancor would suffer the same fate, or a Nexu or anything like that. They're just a bit bitey for
I feel like I'm not good with animals. I'll probably get hit by a Tauntaun, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would hurt. I feel like something like that feels like it's a legitimate risk if you're a Tauntaun Ostler. And I don't know, maybe there's some obscure short story where it happens, but if not, I just know that'd be me.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think that's my worry. Is I would be Jar Jar in episode 1. I would be the sort of one doing the pratfalls.
Yeah,
and the
kicked
comedic
to death
relief.
by Randy Dewback. That'd be me.
Blimey.
For our younger audiences, Randy Dewback did the soundtrack for Toy Story.
You got a droid in me. I don't know where to go from there.
Good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Go!
Yeah. I think maybe a Porg. Porgs are probably low maintenance,
Porgs
right?
Are quite cute.
Yeah.
Porgs are cute and probably relatively low maintenance, but they're not sentient isn't the right word. They're intelligent.
Well, they are.
To the point of they kind of feel need to scold Chewbacca for eating one of them, and let's not get into that debate. But I don't know. But something of that intelligence level, is it okay to keep that as a pet? Because at what point does it stop being a pet and become slavery once he has a certain intelligence level?
That's an interesting question.
I like Teak from Ewok movies, but if he hung around with me, that we kind of be buddies rather than owner and pet, I feel.
Yeah, so it might be like Christopher Lee in Man with the Golden Gun. Yeah. You might have like a sidekick.
Yeah, a sidekick's probably a better term than a pet. Yeah, a sidekick Porg I could roll with.
Yeah? Do they roll?
I mean, isn't that essentially what Chewie is, really?
I mean, kind of. He's kind of rolling with the Porgs.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's an opportunity to release a Chewbacca rap album, Rolling with the Porgs has got to be... I can't imagine what his flow would be like, to be honest with you. It's hard to rap like that. Yeah. That actually is Shriwook for my name's Chewbacca and I'm here to say I love the Falcon in a major way.
Just one Porg with a massive clock around its neck.
Yeah. Tell them what you mean, Chewie. Well, that's what they...
Actually, I guess Slice's Crumb is kind of a flavor of the Star Wars universe.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I suppose... I've never really thought about who that would be, but I guess so. I don't know. Like, there's obviously practicality considerations when it comes to Star Wars pets as well. Tauntauns are probably good for commuting.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Rathtars not so much.
Rathtars, definitely not. No. And they strike me as incredibly high maintenance.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want one of them.
They're definitely a challenging pet, I would say.
Yeah, I think I get the impression even from Force Awakens that they're kind of an extravagance, that the kind of, the kind of thing that a rich, sort of completely disaffected person might have. Like to try and put it in a modern context as much as I can, somebody, like maybe a Saudi Arabian oil billionaire or something like that. Just somebody who's kind of, whose existence is so different to ours that we can't even necessarily fathom how their day to day would go.
Yeah,
it just seems like the kind of person who would keep a Rathtar.
How are Scurriers? Because they're basically gerbils.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Joe Bowers, it depends where you're from.
Yeah. I think Porg might be my pick.
Yeah, that'd be a pet stroke sidekick, I guess.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how intelligent they are. Mm-hmm. They're cute.
Yeah.
But cuteness and intelligence, not always a guarantee.
Yeah.
And anything further I say on the subject will just be unkind. So,
yeah. All right.
I mean, there's me to prove this point, right?
I suppose the lowest maintenance pet is probably a Sarlacc.
I suppose, yeah, very much so, because you probably need feeding every couple of decades.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because it's like a slow.
Yeah.
It's only really. What's interesting though is if you think all the dietary advice I get, and I'm not to say that I'm by any means kind of an expert on the subject, so by no means take this as advice. But there was talk about kind of you want to get there's times to have quick release food and slow release food and stuff like that. Sarlacc doesn't really have that kind of setup at all. Just
tip a protein shake into the Sarlacc.
Yeah, every couple of weeks, just top it up with a bit of jerky or something, and away you go. But it needs a lot. Don't get me wrong. But I would imagine it probably needs a fair whack of. For
a desert, there's a lot of wildlife on Tatooine.
It is quite a it's biodiversity is quite significant, really.
Yeah,
for a desert planet.
Yeah,
it certainly beats Arrakis.
Yeah, I mean, there's
from a great height.
Much couple of birds.
Yeah,
desert rat.
Yeah,
massive worms.
Yeah, I mean, the worms they're the ones you remember, aren't they?
Yeah,
fair. It's
that and the desert rat. Yeah,
because enormous sandworms.
Because the desert mouse in Fremen is my dib, which is the name that Paul takes.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So you remember that, but then you have to have read or watched it recently to kind of have that.
Yeah, it's or just be a Dune nerd. Yeah,
yeah. In my case, it's the former. It's been a while since I've read Dune.
I'm in a Dune fandom group on Facebook, and some people in there have got a real chip on their shoulder about Star Wars being a rip-off of Dune, and I'm like, in no way.
It really is.
Could you compare the two?
That's a really tenuous link.
Yeah,
for me. And like I say, having read Dune, and that admittedly a while ago, but it's still a really great book, but it's not
the same thing at all.
It's not comparable.
It really isn't. No. I mean, no. It's not an argument I side with.
No,
but there are people out there who seem to have a bit of a chip on their shoulder about it.
I think there's a certain element of disliking that which is popular, and if you can find a reason, however tenuous, you might swing with it. Mm-hmm. But I can't see that at all.
No, same.
Really struggling. In fact, the more I think about it, it's making less sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's a peculiar one. But so, what's the answer then for Star Wars pets? What? I think I might have to say Porg. I'm really struggling for anything.
They're pretty endearing as well.
Very much so.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a Porg as well, so that me and you can go to a park and kind of race and fly our Porgs together as well.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Just a lovely, do you know what?
Do you think you'd need like a falconer's mitt or something, or are they quite friendly?
I know, I get the impression they're quite friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, Chewie's got them loose in the Falcon. I don't know how much choice he has in that. I get the impression it's kind of a grudgingly, I did eat one of your friends.
Yeah, it's more of a home invasion than it is.
Yeah, but I feel
an
like
endearing scene.
I think if I ate somebody's friend, I would probably let them stay for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a situation I hope I'm ever in.
Definitely. No.
I mean, something's gone wrong if that happens. But
I've made some choices.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made, it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And steaks, yeah.
Steaks also made.
Some steaks were made.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Mm.
Certainly if I ate your pork by mistake, you'd be able to come and stay with me in my pork for a while.
Oh, that's sweet of you. That's kind of you to say.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It feels like a nice gesture. Like you said, I can see what you mean. It's not necessarily. It's debatable whether or not it's the nicest thing because obviously. But then at the same time, a lot of things would have had to change in your life for that to be for you to have eaten my pork.
I've been trying to pork.
Yeah, and also to have gone back to eating meat.
Yeah, that as well, and to accidentally start eating people's pets.
Yeah, I accidentally did a goldfish, and then it's all just kind of snowballs from there.
Yeah. I'm banned from Pets at Home, and the blind woman from next door is having to move in as well.
Yeah, it's fair.
So
ouch. That must have been a mission.
It was just the harness was a hard bit, to be honest.
I bet, yeah. It probably, it's quite tough. Yeah, I can imagine. So Vesuvius.
What is up with us tonight?
I don't know. I think it's
this is why you guys need to write in. If you don't write in, we're just cut loose.
Yeah, this is it, But ultimately, sometimes these are the most fun episodes to do.
But normally people write in and we're good and we're chatting about things they've written in for like an hour and a half. We haven't even been going 45 minutes. I've already eaten a Labrador. That's the state of this episode.
Yeah. I'm talking about hypothetical Labrador eating.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
We are, right?
Sure.
Okay. Well, good. So the big news of the week is we have to kind of we weren't wrong as such, but we we placed a bet, an informal wager with the universe, and we were incorrect on this occasion.
We were. It happens.
Indeed. So
Kenobi movie is definitely happening.
I mean it's a foregone conclusion, right? Until the credits, until I see the BBFC title card, I'm still going to be skeptical. But what if it's all a big bluff? But we, last week, obviously they'd announced that the next batch of movies would start coming in 2022.
Right. Okay.
And we said, not unreasonably, and we were not by any means the only people to speculate on this, that it would most likely be Ryan's trilogy because the Benioff and Weiss would be busy with Game of Thrones and the prequel series, which is, in some stage of development.
Yes.
No sooner had we done so than Lucasfilm, I think it was I think Bob Iger was doing some sort of conference call or some sort of earnings call. And he announced that actually the first movie in the new trilogy, the new trilogy would begin with a movie directed by Benioff and Weiss. So actually, it's not Ryan's trilogy at this stage. Such is life, Yeah. So we as you say, it's been known. We did we put all our eggs in one basket, and now we have no eggs until they're announced.
Until more eggs are announced, yeah.
This metaphor got away from me. Did you notice?
Yes. I wasn't going to say anything.
That's fine. Yet.
Sit on that for a while.
Yeah. So, what's
fine.
That was kind of my question. What's your feeling on that?
Only because I was kind of half expecting Benioff and Weiss to do a TV show to Disney Plus, but I assumed this was going to be Rian Johnson's trilogy. If that's not the case, I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm not wound up or het up about it. I'm happy to go with that. I'm not a Game of Thrones expert. I've seen the first series and I think a bit of the second one. I enjoyed it, and just for whatever reason, I decided to wait until they're all out, and I was going to watch all of them.
Fair.
Which, I ain't got long to wait now.
No, last episode will be out by the time.
Seems to be a bit of a mixed reception to this series.
So I'm caught up. I won't. Obviously, I'll spare you the details of what people are complaining about. I can understand why people are annoyed. I think they are overreacting. I think generally my understanding, my sense of it, and this is from somebody who's up to date on the series and has read most of the books, is that my feeling is kind of that they've done a perfectly credible. They've taken the story, one particular character story, in a perfectly credible direction, but they've done it quite fast, and they've not really done as good a job as they might have of laying the foundations and the kind of the framework that builds up to that sort of direction.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I can understand why people are not best pleased with it. I do think there's a lot of overreaction. I mean, I know, right, from Twitter. Who knew? But it's, I think it's fine. I enjoyed, the episode that everybody's kind of heads up about. I actually really enjoyed. So I've been fine. But I do get where people are, I do understand why people are annoyed, because obviously, if you invest a ton of time into a series over a period of 8-9 years, I guess it's been running.
I suppose coming up 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, because it was only really, certainly in the UK, I don't know if this was the case in America, but it was really season 3 where it started to really pick up popularity. It seemed to me. I'd heard people talking about it, but it was only season 3 when I really started hearing everybody was talking about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. It was kind of, I think The Red Wedding was the first sort of context I heard.
Yeah, that seems to take a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah, so I think that was when I first started to notice, like, wow, a lot of people I know watch Game of Thrones. I must give this a go.
I think I did like the first 3 books and stopped reading when it occurred to me that the only characters I cared about were Tyrion and Arya. Everyone else was just kind of background noise.
Yeah, they're just kind of there.
But I do wonder if I would enjoy it more as a film or film as a TV, as a visual medium. I think it might actually work better.
Well, I mean, one of the nice things about visual media is they can tell a lot of the story that gets described in great depth visually without having to go into large amounts of word salads.
Certainly, if there's a large cast of characters, it's easier to have a visual reference sometimes as well.
Yeah, very true. But obviously, the nice thing about Game of Thrones in that respect is if you're having trouble remembering characters' names, give it a couple of books and you won't have to remember so many. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's sort of a reread, I suppose. I think I got up to the end of a Robert Jordan series of Wheel of Time, and I haven't done the end because he passed away before it was finished, and Brandon Sanderson finished the books for it. Well, he worked with him.
Yeah.
By the time Jordan passed, he did have the outline, and they were working on the trilogy together, and Brandon Sanderson finished it up.
Closed it off, yeah.
Yeah. My understanding is the last few chapters were written by Jordan, so it does still end.
Yeah.
With his work, which is nice. So it's sort of a reread, or not really. I'm rereading the ones I've read through, but I am reading the whole series for the first time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And man, they just get more and more characters keep getting added to that thing. And it's getting hard to keep track at some point, especially on an audiobook.
Yeah, so, it is.
Those names sound kind of similar.
Yeah, and the voice actor is not really giving them a lot of difference here.
The narrator, he gets absolutely slated in reviews for the first book, and I didn't mind him so much. And as he's gone on, the people who stick with him, they really, really rave about him. So it's almost like maybe it just takes a while to get used to his style.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, sometimes you can have a kind of an acquired taste with books like that. I mean, I tried to do the Witcher audiobook and I didn't really get on with it, but I know that I probably would find if I gave it another go I might have a different experience of it, but I have yet to, but I do plan to go back to it at some point, if only because my Audible library is, it's unfinished as long as his is not finished, so that will always irk me a touch, even if I manage to make progress on everything else. But But, speaking of Audible, did you finish Dooku Jedi Lost?
I did, yes.
Yeah, we can spare, we don't have to go into too deep spoilers, but how did you find it generally?
I really liked it. It gave Dooku a lot of backstory, which I've always felt he's a character who's lacked backstory.
Yeah.
It gave much more explanation to the Lost Jedi, who aren't explained in the movie, who aren't really given any other canon or supporting material resource. It gave a lot of context of that. Production was really good.
Yes, I agree. There are a couple of exceptions.
My only complaint is that, and this is the more Star Wars audiobooks you listen to, it becomes apparent they actually have like 8 background noises that they just loop regardless of where they are. And the ambience is nice. The sound effects are occasionally nice without being intrusive. Obviously, there's more sound effects and immersion in an audio drama and an audio book.
Yeah.
But I think they need to expand the library a little bit because it's getting very, this sounds like a Star Wars audio book now.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of true to type almost.
The only thing that really bothered me was the amount which they use various things from Across the Stars.
Yeah, and in odd places as well.
Yeah, but weren't romantic moments, weren't tragic moments, just mildly dramatic moments got the Across the Stars treatment. And that's weird to me because that piece is so intrinsically tied to 2 specific people.
Yeah.
It's not like it's the Force theme. It's not like it's an Imperial March, or it's not like it's just some dramatic music they've lifted from A New Hope or Phantom Menace or wherever. It's a very, very core part of the soundtrack. Because am I right in thinking that it's actually like the same chord sequence as the main theme? The whole idea being that it does that their relationship is the core of Star Wars.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'd have to go back and listen, but
I think Across the Stars and the main theme are the same chord sequence.
Okay,
because it is trying to tie. Because Williams is a genius at stuff like that, of tying those themes together.
Yeah,
and for that to be just kind of thrown around willy-nilly at every gap and opportunity is just it. No, any other. Yeah, I'd have been more forgiving of other themes being used, but not that one.
Yeah, I do get what you mean. I found that jarring too when I was sitting there listening. I was like, wait, what? That's an odd choice for music, especially as they had the tube and throat singing stuff that they use in
stuff like that.
It worked.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
it worked
not
so well.
tight.
Where it worked so well where it was used as well.
Yeah.
And you just find yourself thinking, you've obviously given this stuff a lot of thought, and yet there are these moments where you're like, what? Why would you do that?
I thought the voice cast was amazing.
Yes.
To the point I assumed it was Tom Kane as Yoda and Grey Delilah's Ventress.
Mark Thompson.
But I assumed.
Yeah. Reasonably.
Yeah. They did an outstanding job.
Yeah. It was excellent. That side of things was fantastic. I was especially impressed with Jonathan Davis as Qui-Gon Jinn.
That was really good.
Yeah. So far, we haven't delved into anything possibly spoilery, so I'm good. I have no concerns there.
No, it's highly recommended.
How did you get on? I know
for an Audible credit, which I think is about £8 these days.
Yeah, and I think even just to buy it outright is not that expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of within,
when they announced it, I thought it was going to be like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Nope, 6.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
How did you find, I know initially when we spoke about it, when you first started listening, you found the Dooku voice a bit jarring. Did it grow on you over time?
It did. I think I mentioned this in the most recent File In Ready as well. I was kind of expecting him to try and sound like Christopher Lee, and he didn't. He tried to sound like Count Dooku, which is what he should have done.
Yeah.
I definitely warmed it when that kind of dawned on me, I suppose. It's tough for me because Christopher Lee is one of my favourite actors and a personal hero of mine as well. So I when he didn't sound like Christopher Lee, I was like, oh, come on. But it was like, no, he's got the diction, he's got the pacing down.
Yes.
And so he was a very good Count Dooku. And he wasn't trying to be Christopher Lee, which is what he should have been doing. He did a good job.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a good performance all around. I did find, again, I can do this without spoilers. I found it. This may be me, but I did find probably the last 15, 20 minutes a little bit hard to follow in terms of what was going on.
Muddy. It was a bit muddy.
A little bit. Not to the point where it ruined the book by any stretch, because it was still, I still look upon that very, very fondly. But it did kind of, there were moments where I was like, hang on, wait, what? How? Where? What? Hey? Where did we, hang on, how did we, what? And I just had to sort of, I did have to give it a couple of goes back and just double check to make sure, I sort of had to reorient myself occasionally, which is always a sign that I'm lost a bit when I have to go sort of scrubbing back a few minutes in a chapter just to kind
spaced
of
out for a minute.
Yeah, like I say, that's why I say it may be me, because obviously I listen to audiobooks primarily when commuting, so it's very easy for
zone out or nod off a bit.
Or just a moment to distract my attention, like I'm at the ticket barrier, I need to find my ticket, I need to work out where I've put my ticket, that sort of just things like that can sometimes kind of take me out of whatever I'm doing. Especially if I'm, quite dense, which is a risk.
Yeah.
But I think overall, really strong. I've gone from that to the Audible original production of War of the Worlds.
Oh, okay. How's that?
Oh, I just finished it yesterday. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Absolutely fantastic. It's got all the Jeff Wayne music interspersed.
Oh, no way. That's amazing.
It's so good. So good.
So it is an audio drama rather than just a narration of the book?
Yeah, it's kind of like they call it War of the Worlds the musical. But I don't know. I haven't seen the musical, so I don't know how much of it, because there's quite a lot of narration in it. Mm. It's about 5 hours long or so.
I'll check that out. That's intriguing.
Yeah, I would heartily recommend it to anybody listening. But it's absolutely brilliant.
War of Worlds is one of those, you've seen so many adaptations of it, you think you know the story, and then you read your book and you're like, nope, don't remember any of that. Yeah. So Dracula, you've seen so many Dracula movies, you think you know the story, then when you actually read the book, it's like, what?
Yeah. Say what? But actually, it was good for me because I've never actually... I know the story of War of the Worlds, and I saw the Tom Cruise version in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that version.
It's not the worst, but yeah, I mean, it's not it's not a patch on Michael Sheen's narration.
No, I can imagine, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually quite a good cast in that regard.
Yeah, the Spielberg War of Worlds, it just seemed to be lots of queuing and walking very slowly is my memory of it.
It was almost amazing they didn't set it in London and have the sort of Brits trying to get... Like in modern day London, just have the Brits trying to work around it, queuing and tutting.
But I did like the foghorn noise the Martians made in that because it was so alien. It was a really, really nice touch.
Well, they do. I don't know if they do this in the musical, but they do an absolutely fantastic job of making putting the aliens in this kind of otherworldly, ethereal sounds.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure how they do that in the musical, but it works so well.
I assumed the musical was just the concept album. I didn't know they'd done a full-blown stage musical of it.
Well, this is the thing. I don't know whether what I've listened to is just a direct adaptation of the musical or whether they've kind of mixed the two, where it's kind of the music interspersed with an extended narration that you'd kind of get from somewhere between the musical and the book itself.
Okay.
I don't know, but it's about 5 hours long, and it's worth every second of your time.
That'd be a long stage musical.
It would. This is it. Not
everybody looking at his watch.
Absolutely, he'd be like, "Come on, wind up." I heartily recommend that to anybody listening.
I'll have a look at that. I think I've got a credit burning hole in my pocket.
Yeah,
because those Wheel of Time books aren't short.
This is true. Yes, you do have to build up a bit of a stack while you wait. But yeah, I would heartily recommend that as a fan. It's an Audible original. It's about 5-6 hours long, and it's a full. I think it is a full cast, but it's not a big cast.
Yeah,
so it's quite a small number of people, but it's good. They all do a good job. It's got Taron Egerton from Kingsman in it as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I cannot fault it. Not that I've tried very hard, but
no, you don't have to. That's okay.
No, exactly.
That's what the internet's for.
Quite, yeah, exactly. So yeah, Benioff and Weiss. Going back to criticisms on the internet, see how neatly we segued that back in.
Yeah, see what we can do. We're experts at this.
So they are actually confirmed to be the first to release their new films. So
yes,
what do you think that means for Ryan's?
Either. Well, there's a few potential options, isn't there? Do they release his movie? Is his a trilogy?
His is definitely a trilogy, this is why I found it interesting.
Are they going to do the intervening years and go back to doing annual Star Wars movies when they've taken 3 years off?
Maybe. Possibly. It's an option for sure.
Are they going to have his be straight to Disney Plus?
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
It would subvert expectations.
Or they're going to do it after this trilogy wraps up.
Yeah.
Which obviously seems a long way away, but
I saw an interesting take the other day, which was kind of it wasn't so much I definitely think this is going to happen, but it was, I wonder if they would do this. It was, what if Benioff and Weiss wrote and produced it and Ryan directed?
I did consider that, but I was under the impression it had been confirmed they were two different projects.
I think they are. But it was an interesting take. So maybe if they were not winding down, but kind of easing up on the production schedule, they would consolidate those projects into one trilogy.
Yeah,
it was interesting that the Benioff and Weiss thing was the one announced, because one of the reasons I thought it was definitely Ryan's trilogy was because we'd never heard Benioff and Weiss had a trilogy.
No,
we just heard they had more than one film. We knew this. That was all we knew. So people were saying it could be two, it could be a whole series, it could be all sorts of things, because they're still quite young guys, I think, as well. So
little older than me, I think, and not by much. I wouldn't have thought.
So I think they've got plenty of gas in the tank in terms of opportunities to produce stuff. And I say the other thing was I assumed that the what's it called, the prequel series would be their focus for for some time, but apparently that's not the case. So
they just passed rather working on 2 projects over there.
Yeah, it could be
something else.
It could be, obviously there's people directing episodes of The Mandalorian. John Favreau is the executive producer, but then there's different people directing single episodes. Maybe Benioff and Weiss have that kind of role for.
They're both 48, a little bit 48. Older than me.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, they're still in terms of years to write. That's a long time.
They can run through. I mean, Ridley Scott's still going.
Exactly.
We've asked him to stop, but he's not listening.
There are times where I think, I think, you know what, you made your point.
Yeah. Maybe
many times over.
Ridley. You know when I said go out on a high point? I did mean Black Hawk Down.
Ridley. Stop it.
Basically. The underrated quote from Ghostbusters 2 is everything you're doing is bad. I want you to know this.
As much as I say that, I actually quite enjoyed Prometheus if you take the Alien franchise away from it.
Prometheus needed to either be more of an Alien prequel or more of its own thing instead of this kind of halfway house, which didn't do either.
Yeah, that's kind of my feeling of it as well. Is it didn't feel like an Alien movie, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Amelia, I was watching it while poorly from work in one of those rare occasions where I was like, I'm going to watch a film because I'm poorly. But
The Martian's supposed to be good. I've not seen that.
Oh, Martian's supposed to be fantastic. I've seen bits of it, and what I saw I enjoyed, but I haven't seen the whole film all the way through.
Yeah, scrolling back, I'm doubling down on Black Hawk Down.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I'm going to go.
American Gangster was fine, but didn't really feel like a Ridley Scott movie.
Blade Runner, I guess. Are we just talking about recent stuff?
No, I think that was his last good film was Black Hawk Down.
Okay, when does Black Hawk Down compare to Gladiator? Because I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Black Hawk Down is after Gladiator.
Okay, so that's fine.
Black Hawk Down is to 2001, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it was for one. It was Gladiator, then Black Hawk Down.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I saw Covenant. Meh. It was fine. American Gangster's supposed to be good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's fine. But it's American Gangster's fine. But if you weren't told it was a Ridley Scott movie, it didn't feel like one.
Gotcha. Yeah. Hannibal. Meh. Not bad. Fine.
Gladiator, I think is fine. It's good. I'm not as taken as a lot of other people are.
Yeah.
Film and Louise is superb.
Obviously, Blade Runner, Alien.
I quite like Legend as well.
Yeah, Legend I think is exactly kind of what it needs to be, and it's fun for that sort of reason. Yeah,
it was of that kind of 80s fantasy movie time, but it does feel like a Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's fine. That makes sense.
What's your favourite of the 80s fantasy movies? Because mine's always been Willow. Yeah, much as I love Princess Bride and Labyrinth, I think I've seen Willow more times than I've seen any of the others.
Time Bandits.
Time Bandits is a good choice.
Yeah, Time Bandits is great.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of love for Willow, but Time Bandits is something else.
Sean Connery and Michael Palin in one film.
What's not to like, right?
Yeah, right.
But that deleted scene from Holy Grail.
Ian Holm as Napoleon.
There you go. See, I mean, again, you just,
little people hitting each other.
Otherwise, I mean, obviously, Master of the Universe is peerless. Oh, no, witless.
Yeah.
No, I kid. I'm being unkind. It launched Courtney Cox's career. I think it's fair to say. Actually, no, being in the Bruce Springsteen video, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that helped.
Unless we forget about, maybe it's because we forget about Master of the Universe.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I do like Dolph.
Yeah.
Dolph's fun, he doesn't take himself too seriously.
No, absolutely. He's, I think he kind of got used as the cheap Arnie
Yes,
for a while, and I think at the time he kind of took the money and run, which is what I think you should do in that situation, because you, for all you know, you're Sam Worthington. You don't know when the next time you're going to get offered a movie will be. You've got to take everything that gets offered to you.
Well, he did for about a year and a half.
Yeah, but Sam Worthingtons and Orlando Blooms pop up for a few years, take all the money they can, and then just drop off the face of the earth.
Yeah, so apparently so. I don't know whether they're working on anything right now.
Yeah,
obviously
they might be, but no, I think it's a healthy attitude to take in that industry. Is you've got to be looking at it and going, well, yeah, I'll take the money because I don't know if I'm going to be doing this in 3 years' time.
Yeah, indeed. It's
but Dolph, I think people had they kind of thought. Audiences thought he was Arnie, when actually I don't think that was ever his mindset.
No,
he was just happy to be there, I think.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So Sam Worthington is attached to all the Avatar sequels.
Oh, okay. Well, he'll be back then.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And last thing, I'm trying to think. Last thing I saw him in myself was probably the Wrath of the Titans remake, which was dire.
I liked it.
Not his fault.
I liked it as brainless action. I was expecting it to be lots of CG monsters fighting, and that was exactly what it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, that's kind of what I got out of Pacific Rim. But then if I want to watch it, I've got Pacific Rim. Or indeed the Meg, which is also similarly fun.
It was, I think, also Attack of the Titans. Clash of the Titans, I think, was the first movie I saw in modern 3D as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
So I was expecting it to be a kind of Friday the 13th Part 3, waving lots of things at the camera, which they didn't do.
Yeah. I think Orlando Bloom, the last thing I saw him in was the Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah, same.
And annoyingly, I've just given myself a spoiler for a movie by looking into his history. Because
is he an Endgame?
No, he is. It's been out long enough that I can. I'm sure I can spoil it with impunity. He is. He has a part in the Pirates of the Caribbean 5.
As Legolas, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, but
yeah. He shouldn't have been on set that day, but they couldn't stop him.
Yeah, the set photos are, I won't lie, strange.
Yeah.
But because he's kind of not for nothing, but they all seem to look at him as if to say, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
like it's not it's not like they wrote him into the film as Legolas. Yeah. He turned up on set dressed as Legolas, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
And Javier Bardem's putting on a face as best he can.
Oh man! Once I was at a Salute, which is the biggest tabletop gaming convention one of the biggest tabletop gaming conventions in the UK, and it's not really a cosplay thing. There's usually one guy done as a Blood Angel Space Marine.
I know him.
And there might be a couple of stormtroopers. But we're presenting to an audience in case you've forgotten.
No, just as an aside, I know that I know who you mean. I know him personally.
But it's not like a Comic-Con where there's now lots of people in costume.
Yes, indeed.
And one year I went, there were 3 guys in cosplay. There was a Spider-Man, some anime-looking thing.
Yep.
And the guy as Legolas.
Okay.
And there's thousands of people going to this convention. It's rammed, and 3 of them had gone in cosplay. And it got to about midday, and I realised only Legolas seemed to have stayed.
Okay.
Then it dawned on me that it was because his other friends had been clever enough to bring a change of clothes with them.
Right, whereas he's obviously Legolas for the whole day.
As Legolas for the whole day.
Did they even have a Middle-earth game that year?
There's usually someone running something Middle-earth shaped, because it's kind of like Star Wars, it's kind of a perennial geek topic, I guess. There's always someone doing something Star Wars or something Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's very few. Those are probably the 2 big timeless ones. Actually, thinking about it, maybe Dune.
I think that I would say,
and Trek. Obviously, we can't forget Trek.
No, that's fair. I think it's fair to say that Dune does not have the consistency of release of a Star Wars or a Lord of the Rings in terms of tabletop release.
Yeah, so I mean, the books have been pretty steady, but certainly they've not caught the world on fire like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings has.
Not on the tabletop.
No. I saw a Star Trek game at a tabletop convention, and it was played with 5-inch action figures. It was amazing.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to... I'd say I'd have to look into that, but let's be fair, I need to clear some of the crap I've got first.
Yeah.
Just because, if it's vaguely useful, Rob got to have it. But yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah. We're doing a Star Wars tabletop con.
Yeah, well, it happens, right? Ultimately, people listen to us for various things.
Yeah.
Mostly, I mean, like I say, we did preface the show by saying that it was a slow news week, so
yeah,
I'm not so concerned about it.
Can we just call this episode Talk brackets Star Wars?
Talk plus Star Wars.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, Benioff and Weiss are the ones we're going to see released first.
Yeah.
And,
fine.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, it's good. I'm interested to know where they're going to take it, but...
Yeah. I would be surprised if it's a sequel set after 9.
I'd be very surprised if that's the case.
Because they've been very firm in saying, no, this isn't, we are stopping at 9. There's not going to be an episode 10. Yeah. If that holds for another 20 years, I'll be surprised. But I think they'll have enough sense to stick with it for 3.
Yeah.
I don't know where they will go. Maybe parallel to the sequel trilogy seems most likely to me.
Maybe, yeah. I do think what they've done, what Lucasfilm have done recently, and I suppose you kind of have to give some due to the story group for this, is they've really fleshed out the characters that people like. When I say, the ones that you touched on it earlier when we talk about Dooku, Jedi Lost, that's a character who we know he has a rich backstory because he has to, right? He's the Count of Sereno. That has to come with a certain, a certain amount of
Padawan.
He's Yoda's Padawan, and these are all things that are established in the film or thereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that there's going to be some stories to tell, yeah, exactly. It's pretty clear he's going to have some stuff to opine.
There's a character I could do doing some decent backstory actually.
Grievous.
Yeah,
I think they've touched on his backstory a bit in the comics.
Oh, okay.
To the degree that I think I remember reading somewhere that we've seen what the species looks like without Grievous armor on.
Okay,
it's not what you expect.
Okay, so his name in the old canon, his name was Kaiman Jai Shilal.
Okay,
and he was like this lizard-looking creature. Yeah, I'll love to keep my eye open for the comic for that then.
Yeah, I think it's one of the
Age of Republic.
Yes, I think it is.
Cool.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's any good. I would imagine probably because most of the comics are pretty good.
Yeah, I think some of the young adult stuff phones it in, but I think it always did. I think generally I'm really a fan of the new canon.
I read. Speaking of new canon, I read.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
Speaking of new canon, I read Lando Double or Nothing recently because it was. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was. It was very easy to put the voice to it. That's a good story for me is when I can just kind of picture the voice very easily.
We get the dialogue right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very, very much
absolutely.
so.
Yeah, that's a key for a lot of licensed ones. Yeah.
Yes, it was one of those ones where it was one of the days where Comixology had a sale because of course it was. It's like the DFS of digital comic media. But you're not going to hear me complain because I get cheap stuff out of it. Everyone's a winner. But I read that recently. I thought that was good. I reread the solo standalone 6-issue run where he does the what's the name of it? The Dragon Run.
Yeah, the Dragon Run. Yeah, it's fine.
It's good.
Cannibal Running Space Ghost. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. It's an enjoyable little run.
Imperial Cadets just started on Marvel Unlimited.
Okay.
It's okay so far, but it's mostly been retelling what we saw in Solo.
Right. So they're kind of setting. It sounds like they're almost kind of setting the scene for what's coming. Kind of start off by orienting you.
The main series is still really good.
Mm-hmm. I'm well out of step with that.
Greg Pak is taking over the main series soon, which I'm really excited for because I'm quite a fan of his.
Yeah. What would he have done that I might know?
Most of he turns up in a lot of Marvel titles, but some ones I've read, he does a lot of like for World War II flashback stuff. So he's done like a Young Red Skull series, or it's like Captain America in the Second World War.
Yeah.
Stories, and those he does very, very well.
Okay, nice.
Yes, Greg Pak's well worth checking out.
Nice. I'll have to look into him.
Yeah.
If you pardon the expression. What else have I done in the West Star Warsy things? I'm trying to think. Like I say, I didn't get any kind of birthday stuff, which I was kind of surprised by, but at the same time, when you think about it, I've got a limited amount of space for Black Series. there's not really been much in the way of Funko Pops and things like that have really caught my attention to the point where I'd go, oh, get me one. You know, if people are after ideas, get me one of them.
Yeah.
And then I've got all the movies on various digital platforms, as we've established.
Yeah. I read Cobalt Squadron recently, actually, which is
one of the. Is that one of the build up to Last Jedi books?
Yeah, it's as exciting as a young adult novel centered around Rose Tycho can be.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Paige Tycho, is it not?
It's both of them. But,
they're both in there. Okay.
Yeah, but having seen Last Jedi, I know not to get too attached to Paige.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is certainly a takeaway from that movie. Yeah, but say in terms of, there's not really been much in the way of. Let's say there's been no Star Wars gifts forthcoming from the birthday haul. I got an espresso machine, which on the plus side means I can stay up and watch more Star Wars. But
yeah,
you know,
true.
It's not really a direct Star Wars gift. It's a kind of incidental one.
I've been painting up stuff for Legion as well. I've been doing.
Yeah, fair enough. I got rid of a lot of my Star Wars tabletop stuff just because it never got played. So all my Imperial Assault stuff's gone now.
Yeah, still got Star Wars Risk, right?
I still have Star Wars Risk, and I've still got Rebellion as well.
Yeah.
But
let's play Star Wars Risk, actually.
Yeah, we have to sort that out.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
If you guys listen out there want to hear me and Rob argue while playing Star Wars Risk, then write in.
And if you don't, we'll play it anyway.
Yeah, we just won't record it.
Forget you.
Yeah. Patreon exclusive.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people...
Why not?
There'd definitely be people listening to that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So the only other real thing this week is obviously this year marks 17 years since the release of Attack of the Clones.
Did it really?
Yes.
Man, that's gone quick.
Yeah, it was half my life ago.
Really? Yeah, don't go to me. Yeah.
It was ever so slightly more than half your life ago.
Yeah. So that was 2000... Yeah, I suppose it was 2002?
Yes.
Yeah, that's maths. Well done, Brad.
Yes. As we've established, when you get it correct, it's just called maths.
I was 19 then, yeah.
Yeah, I would have been 17. Just turning 18, I guess. Because if it was 2002, I think the reason it's been in the news, because I think it was in the last week or so, was the release date, the cinematic release date.
Okay, yeah.
It's one of those movies. I was thinking about this because obviously, you know, you see people like doing the usual rounds on Twitter going like, oh, what an amazing film. And I'm like, it's fine.
It's in the top 10 Star Wars movies. I'll give them that much.
Yeah, totally. You know, tough luck Clone Wars animated, but well, that's bottom of my list because I can't remember it. Which I felt was,
to watch it again.
I felt Star Wars was kind of damning that it wasn't in my recollection at all. But yeah, I was reading obviously all this sort of various people sort of waxing enthusiastic about it, and you know, more power to them. If it's their favourite, then that's fair enough. Yeah. I don't share that, but at the same time, I don't have to.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't have to share it. It's you know, people are allowed to like what they like, and I don't.
As long as
really
they like Star Wars, that's fine. Even that's optional.
Even then, yeah, you don't have to. There's nothing to stop. There's nothing to say. There's any kind of pressure on there not from these cats anyway. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking about it, and I think actually I've said a lot in the past that Batman Forever is the worst movie I've watched loads. Mm-hmm. I think it actually might be Attack of the Clones.
I had one that came to me today that fits that category. Fifth Element.
I like that movie.
A lot of people do. And
just doesn't gel for you.
It doesn't click with me for some reason, but for some reason, conversely, I've also found myself watching it a lot.
Yeah.
Because I've been with people who do really like it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
So, but then I was sitting there thinking about it because I will drop everything for some reason if Attack of the Clones is on TV. Yeah. I will stop what I'm doing and watch it, even though what I'm doing might be really, really important.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies that I will always, you know, if it's on TV, I will watch it. I will stop, you know, if I'm scrolling through and I come across Attack of the Clones, I stop scrolling and I watch the rest, you know, and I often tend to come in at Camino. I don't know why that is, but
as much.
No, it's, I don't know what it is about it that I just happen to come in at, you know, for some reason I always seem to happen to come in at Camino.
I know it's a film which has a lot of problems, but it also has a lot of really good bits in it as well.
Yeah.
I feel like as an overarching story, it doesn't work. It's got too many pointless bits, too many arm punch moments, too many MacGuffins, and it's just a bit of a mess. But some of those messes are really entertaining messes. Totally. There was no need for Jango and Boba Fett to be in that movie at all. We didn't. No one wanted Boba Fett to be in episode 2 as a 10-year-old boy.
However, sonic grenades.
Just Sonic Mines. Yeah,
Sonic
exactly.
Mines. They're so good.
It's just also peak Star Wars to have noise weapons in space.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like, for all you people complaining about bombers in Last Jedi, man, sonic weapons.
Yeah.
And also that Star Wars has had bombers since 1977, but sonic weapons in space. Y-wings are in A New Hope.
They don't drop any bombs.
They are bombers, right?
So they don't drop any bombs. The whole point of the argument is you can't drop bombs in space. You can't drop bombs in space. Now they're magnetic apparently anyway, so whatever. But
I just assumed a ship that big would have gravitational pull.
I didn't even think about it, to be honest. It was by no means,
or they'd be heat seekers. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a factor for me.
No, it's by no means my main kind of contention with any of the film. It's like, okay, fine.
Bombs, but there's a lot of problems with Last Jedi. There's a lot of problems with Last Jedi as well. But we're talking about Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, please let's. We've given our opportunity.
Yes,
we've got this opportunity and we can't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hate the librarian.
Jocasta Nu?
Yeah.
How dare you?
She's just so up herself.
Well, she wants to believe.
I suppose it's kind of a macrocosm or a microcosm, depends which way around it is. I can never remember for that whole Jedi philosophy.
Yeah.
If it's not, if it is not the archive and it does not exist, which is interesting because only the Sith deals in absolutes.
Well.
It's kind of a macrocosm for the whole short-sightedness of the Jedi.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. It's just a little drop in the, it's a drop in the bucket in the moment. But in the grand scheme, it kind of speaks to a theme. But yeah, I think I've known a few librarians, and they kind of skew. They can go either way, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they can either be that kind of Jocasta Nu, or they can be the Robert Webb negging librarian, or whatever the sketch is called.
Oh, man. Yeah. Bishop Webb got a lot of shout-outs on this show.
I think if they're not already, they should be thoroughly grateful for this because it would be very easy to say.
We've made their career.
It would be very easy to say, and not without good reason, that they have no place on a Star Wars podcast on a weekly basis. Unless they want to start their own, in which case, congratulations, you hit number 1 in the iTunes chart because that's how that happens. Yeah. Where was I?
I have no idea.
No, I'm getting old.
We were ragging on librarians.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Jocasta Nu's kind of like you say. I think you're right. It's just a touch of a bigger piece, isn't it? Like
Right. So let's run through the movie. So opening crawl, blah blah blah. Coruscant. Padme arrives at Coruscant.
So that's the thing. They do a really good job of setting the stakes and making them high instantly. Yeah, really great. You know, she's going to be going through handmaidens like Kirk goes through red shirts. Exactly. And that's going to be a prominent theme of the film. Is what just happened.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, right?
I've never really understood why Jango Fett subcontracts Wessel.
I don't know.
On bounty hunters, an order of a bounty hunter is either they're contracted to do something or this person has a bounty on them and therefore they go after them. I wasn't aware that subcontracting was a big thing in bounty hunting.
No, the only thing I can think of is he needs to keep himself as far away from it as possible. Doesn't reckon on the Jedi. That's the only thing I can think. The only way I can kind of rationalise it. Yes, it's an attempt to.
What's the reason they're trying to kill Padme?
That the Trade Federation has taken the hit out, right? Because they got beef.
They do have big beef.
Yes,
There's always a bigger beef.
They are for the beef.
Yeah.
So yes, it's the Trade Federation taking out the contract on her life, because I think it is just a vendetta. I don't think it's got any because she's not in power at that point, is she? She's a senator, but she's not. No, she's not a queen of Naboo anymore.
No, that's been passed on to someone else. Nasuvi knows the name of.
Yeah, the name escapes me. So who knows? But I say that's one of the things it does really well is it sets that, instantly this is, high stakes, Padme's life's at risk. And they do a good job of bringing in Obi-Wan and Anakin as a result of that. And that's a good way to kind of intro them. She's been given these Jedi bodyguards. Of course she gets the, let's be fair, at times weak buddy cop Jedi pair. Maybe that's by design.
It all sticks to my mind how quickly she shoots Anakin down in flames in that scene as well. It's like, you'll always be the little boy on Naboo. Oh!
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Man, there's no coming back from that apart from killing her.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
You do almost feel like Obi-Wan is sort of suppressing the urge to go, damn!
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that would be a departure for his character, I think. Yeah. Well, it's just the whole, oh, no, you didn't, kind of, Yeah. It just feels, it doesn't quite feel Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
It's...
Ooh, burn. Not as bad as the burns you'll be feeling later on, of course.
Yeah, it's weird you mentioned that. I just saw a meme. I think you shared it, actually.
Is it when I just put on fire when ready?
For the Phantom Menace, yeah. Where he just turns to Anakin and goes, they're watching Qui-Gon's funeral pyre. That's going to be you. Twice. Very nice.
Yeah, that was me.
I approve.
Yeah.
Yes. So they start off with the assassination attempt.
Jumping through window. Swing your on camera droid. Jump into car.
Yes.
Drop your lightsaber.
Yes.
Drop onto car.
Yes.
Swing through car.
Yes.
Chasey. Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me? Oh, very funny.
Yeah, that one was a little bit on the nose, but if you were worried that there was, that was the worst puns we're going to get, strap in.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
My sweet summer child, no.
Yeah. So
they go to the Not Cantina.
Yes, with
lots of pop culture references. Ahoy!
Yep.
Mouse from a Matrix turns up and tries to sell Obi-Wan some smuggled cigarettes.
Yes, indeed, and doesn't get anywhere with it, and that's quite a funny moment.
Yeah, it's paced well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good pace. I didn't realize Obi-Wan liked the Source because there's no mention of it in Episode 1, and yet in Episode 2, the first thought he has is, "I'm going to get tanked."
Yeah.
It seems like an odd departure for him, It's odd that they can't form...
I wonder if it was because he was... I thought it was because he was frazzled from the car ride with Anakin and just wanted to get a drink.
Maybe, yeah. But I thought they could have, maybe if that was the case, they could have seeded that in a way that's,
Yeah.
You've seen, I had to deal with your driving, I've earned it. Or something like that. Some kind of... Just to drive that home a little more. He does just
kind of fob Anakin off, doesn't he? He's like, "You got to do it for work." As you say, "I'm going for a beer."
I'm practicing delegation.
Yeah.
So Anakin goes wandering. Say Obi-Wan. It's odd to me that the Jedi are forbidden from forming emotional attachments, but could quite happily wave their laser swords around while under the influence, and that's fine. Apparently, seems a little odd to me. Yeah. I don't know, but at the same time, I don't practice lightsaber safety, so I don't know the ins and outs. So ultimately,
my certificate's lapsed as well.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot of paperwork involved, and it's just who has time to keep up with these things,
Yeah. So Zem Wessel jumps Anakin in the bar, slicey, arm comes off as per usual.
Common d'habitude, yeah.
She just kind of goes, "It's," and then gets a saber dart in the neck fired at her from.
I really would have loved to be a fly on the wall with you in a table read. Just so, or you just behind the camera, just like, so Sam, just go, and then we'll figure it out. So she says,
Saber dart in the neck.
Yep.
Obi-Wan goes, oh no, what are we going to do about this saber dart? Where do we go from there? It can't be Jedi Council already, surely.
I think it might be. I think we've already been to Jedi Council once, maybe twice at this point.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
So then Anakin gets sent off with Padme to babysit her on Naboo, while Obi-Wan goes off to investigate the saber dart, which is when he goes to Dex's diner.
Yes.
Which is a 1950s diner in Coruscant.
Yes.
Of all pop culture references, that one bothers me the least. I just quite like it.
Okay.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I could see why people would get cross with it, because it's one of those moments. Some people find it not hard, but some people kind of find it a little bit jarring when real world pop culture makes it into Star Wars. And in that, there's quite a few egregious examples. There's American football on the TV, but it's being played with droids instead of people. Yeah. And, it's like the robots have got accents and stuff, and it's odd. Mm-hmm. It does seem like a weird...
It doesn't bother me as much as with two-headed race commentator in Phantom Menace, but... Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I understand the complaints, even though I don't necessarily share the sentiment. Mm-hmm. So he goes there, and just fortunately, Dex is the only person in the entire world who does know what this Kamino and saber dart is.
Yeah.
And he says that Kaminos are cloners that keep themselves on a planet which is entirely ocean, because that's how planets work in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that. It accents the fantasy side of space fantasy. They don't go to the sea. They go to the sea planet. They don't go to the desert. They go to the desert planet. I've always kind of liked it.
Yeah.
In the same way with Species are kind of broad strokes as well.
Yeah.
All Hutts are gangsters. All Rhodians are bounty hunters. It's not so much now, but it certainly used to be the case. But, all Trandoshans are bounty hunters, because these kind of broad strokes that worked for planets worked for the races as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Let's say the thing about Attack of the Clones, and you start seeing it at this point in the movie, is it's a lot of really good Obi-Wan story, and the Anakin stuff is important but not very good. Yeah,
I think that's a large part of the problem with this film.
Yeah, it's not the best. And unfortunately, because it's important,
it's so important,
everywhere, and it's just, it's just not the best, and the Anakin stuff in particular, they just kind of, obviously they're, George is starting to do the work to seed the beginnings of his kind of darker nature.
Yeah. The trouble with Anakin's dialogue is it's coarse, it's irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Yeah, it does seem to be. That does seem to be the problem
with it. So Obi-Wan is then jets off towards Kamino.
Yep.
We're on Naboo. Yeah, Anakin kind of tries to interrupt the meeting between Padme and the new Queen of Naboo, doesn't he? And kind of gets a few ideas above his station.
Yeah, it just gets a bit uppity about the notion that he's kind of excluded from the organisational elements.
Yeah,
and everybody
which is fair. He's there for security purposes, and his security concerns are being overlooked. I get it.
Yeah, you kind of get like why she's not bothered about it, because she's Padme and that's what she does.
Yeah, that's her powers. Yeah,
this is it. She's spunky. That's her thing.
Yes. So they're over there, and they talk about politics.
Yeah,
for a bit, and when she, where his basic argument is, it wasn't all that bad, Stalin.
But yeah, I mean, so he's basically say what you like about the guy.
For that conversation.
Yeah, say what you like about the guy, but I don't imagine there was a lot of gridlock.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
that's essentially that conversation boiled down. They ride around on a Nerf for a bit. He takes a bump, and she goes, "Oh, you okay?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." And she goes, "Oh, you naughty boy." And they roll around in the field for a little bit in what I presume is a metaphor.
Yeah, that's fair.
At which point, I think we cut back to Kamino.
Yes, I think you're right.
I'm going off memory here, so some of these scenes might be out of order. I don't know this movie as inside out as I do the original trilogy.
Fair.
But I'm doing my best here, damn it. Go start your own podcast. Disclaimer, don't start your own podcast, just listen to this one.
Yeah.
And so we land on Camino, and it doesn't look fun to live there.
It does not,
and
no.
It's even less fun if all you wear is thick wool.
Yeah, can you imagine? You'd just be, you'd have to crawl around.
He's sodden as soon as he gets off his ship, that boy.
Yeah, it's not fun, I would guess.
Yeah, so then he goes in there, and the aliens who look like Q-tips decide to interview him and say, I suppose you want to see the cloning facility, and he kind of bluffs his way around.
Yep.
And they have a meeting, sat in chairs, which look a bit like Chinese restaurant soup spoons. And then they go through, and they look over the veranda, and there's hundreds of New Zealanders.
By God.
Yes. hundreds and hundreds of New Zealanders, because it turns out the Kaminoans use Jango Fett, famous bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm. Well, not that famous if he's subcontracting.
No, exactly. He's been hiding on there for a few years. Karen Travis gave a load of backstory, but then got shoved out of the moving train.
Yes.
And so... They've cloned. They decided Cypher D has set up this thing to clone Jango Fett to make an entire Grand Arm, which then had to be kept secret, which the Jedi would then deny all knowledge of, despite the fact we obviously do know they're there because Yoda turns up with them later on.
Yes.
Fine. Okay, so Yoda basically lies to Obi-Wan about not knowing anything about it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Is that kind of how you interpret that? Because
I'm of the opinion that the more you know about Star Wars, the less you like Yoda. So yeah, I'm happy to swing with that.
Interesting. I might have to explore that further in a future episode because I'm curious as to kind of how you get there. I understand the overall kind of the overall kind of sentiment, but I'm interested to know kind of build a case, as it were. Okay,
give me time to assemble a case, and I will.
Yeah, that's why I'm not putting you on the spot now. Mainly.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, and plus we're in the middle of talking about Attack of the Clones. Ultimately,
So anyway, we're on Camino, and then Obi-Wan meets Jango and Boba Fett. Boba Fett is in this movie. We're not really sure why, but could sell action figures, and there's a kind of a verbal standoff, I guess, where he kind of like, I knew you were on Coruscant, and he goes, well, I might have been. Yeah. And there's a little bit of verbal sparring goes on, and then Obi-Wan leaves. He makes a call to Yoda, I believe.
I think so, yeah. I love the fact, incidentally, that he's just like, oh, verbal sparring is verbal sparring. Well, anyway, I must be off.
Feel free to join in with your own damn podcast. And
I just like the mental image that plays out with it. It's like, oh, I'm bad, I'm pretty bad myself. Well, anyway, mustache.
That's what happened.
I know.
It's George Lucas. It's back in the day when George Lucas was writing dialogue with a toffee hammer. That's how everyone talks in Attack of the Clones.
You must think you're pretty bad. I know I'm pretty bad. Bye then.
Yeah. So then and I think he hangs up the phone call, and then Jango attacks him. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty. Well, actually, no. Yeah. He goes after Jango. Because doesn't
Jango attack him on the landing platform?
No, Jango's boarding Slave One.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then Obi-Wan attacks him. Well, Obi-Wan seemingly attacks him, and then they have a little bit of a scrap, and then he tags it with
I think it's a good fight sequence.
It is a good fight sequence.
I couldn't remember what it was about, but it's a good fight sequence.
Yeah, it does have, and I think
that should have been the tagline for episode 2. I have no idea what it's about, but it's a good fight sequence.
Yeah, I think that's a good, that's a good descriptor as any, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think it's got the right amount of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the right amount of. It's got good action. It's really
Ewan McGregor being superb.
It's really easy to follow, which for me is a big thing with fight scenes.
Yes.
One of my least favorite in history in movies is the first Transformers, the first Michael Bay Transformers, when 2 silver robots are fighting in a grey city.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yay! Like who am I rooting for here? I can't tell who's winning. Like, as in, I can see which robot's doing best, but I don't know who they're fighting for. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be rooting for them, or is that bad? And that's not good. And you could tell they learned from that, because in the second one, the big fight scene was Optimus Prime in a forest.
Okay.
Which far easier to tell who's winning there because it's the red one.
I've seen the first one of those.
It's
it's not good.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's
it's what you expected.
Yeah, exactly. And it's perfectly cromulent film, but it's not going to win any awards for brilliance.
Yeah,
it just won't. For a start, that's not a thing. No, so
should be.
I made it up.
Yeah,
but
it sounded cromulent though.
Yeah, award for brilliance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe we'll start one.
So, Slave One escapes.
Yes, but not before being tagged.
Yes, yeah, he tags him.
Yeah.
At which point, do we cut back to Naboo again?
I think we do. Yeah.
So we're back on Naboo.
Yes.
More awkward flirting.
Yes.
Including propelling a CG pear at her, which I've got to be honest. Looked bad at the time.
It didn't look great at the time.
It was always dodgy CG, and it just looks worse now.
Yeah.
And for any teenagers listening, don't throw fruit at a woman you love.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's generally frowned on in most restaurants.
I don't care how slow you think you've done it.
Yeah.
It's not slow enough, and it will date horribly.
It's
at best. Yeah, it's a good anecdote for like a wedding speech.
Yeah, it's best. a weird sequence.
Yes.
Then there's more awkward flirting by a fireplace.
That's the one with like I'm haunted by the kiss you never should have given me and that sort of thing, right? Yeah. We're at that stage of the movie.
Yeah. More awkward flirting.
Yep.
She says, "No, I'm not going to be in love with you," and he's like, "All right then."
Yeah, I mean, again, it's fair.
Joke's on you.
Well, we'll see about that, he says. Tempting fate.
How do we end up back on Tatooine?
He has nightmares about Shmi, and they decide that, and Padme decides that he's the only way he's going to get anywhere. No, I think he decides he's going to go to Tatooine. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I'm sorry, I've sworn to protect you, but I can't. Something about these visions is kind of calling me.
We've got to go to the desert." Yeah.
And then she's the one who says, "Okay, well, you're protecting me. I'm going to Tatooine," because he's I can't go because Jedi reasons.
So I think they get to Tatooine.
Yep.
He finds Watto, who somehow remembers him.
Yep. Bearing in mind he's had quite a life in that time.
10 years. Yeah.
10 years has gone by.
I mean, I'd remembered Watto after 10 years, so it makes perfect sense.
Well, yeah, you've remembered him because there's only 3 years between the films, even though 10 years has passed in universe or thereabouts.
Watto didn't just say like, "Annie, you've changed actors."
They recast you? Oh, my sympathies. I'm still the same person.
He finds out that Shmi's been sold to the Lars family.
Yep.
Because Star Wars, for all its strengths, actively condones slavery.
Only for plot purposes.
Torture and slavery for plot purposes only.
To be fair, they do emphasise that they're not fans generally. They are keen to sort of point out that it's still considered a bad thing in universe as well. It's just that Jedi are quite busy, turns out.
So they go and find the Lars family, which is where they meet Klieg and Owen and Beru.
Yep. It does seem like Owen and Beru don't really have to be there.
No, I think they need, for narrative purposes, they did, because you needed somewhere for Luke to go in the next film.
Well, yeah, you do, but at the same time, I think you could get away with just having Owen. Like having the girlfriend Beru was kind of like a...
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like a little bit too much, but at the same time, I understand, and I'm not... It doesn't ruin anything for me by any means, but I get it. And also,
it could have just been Owen's film, and then the next film could have had Beru with him, even if she didn't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. You could kind of go, "Oh, well, they've obviously got together." But I mean, like I say, it's not a tremendous concern, to be honest. It's one of those little things that kind of like, did that need to be there?
They find out that Shmi has been kidnapped by Tusken Raiders.
Yep,
and they haven't really made an effort with it.
No,
there's been nothing on their part to make any attempt to try and rescue her. They've been waiting him.
He said, I think he was like, I would go, but last time I sort of busted my legs up. and I've got no chance of. I'm not going to be any good to you if you were to go. And
I think it's obvious I can't be trusted. Yeah,
Anakin's just like, yeah, leave it with me. See what I can do. He goes off and goes through this weird like game of detective.
Yeah, there's a detective montage, isn't there?
Yeah, where he's just he's on his bike going around,
talks to people, talking to Jawas, punching Jawas,
presumably. It's implied.
Yeah, shaking down Neb, and
it's pre-Neb.
Yeah, of course it's pre-Neb, isn't it?
Has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah, all right. Sorry, I forgot that Neb was canon. And then, and then he reaches the Tusken Raider village at dusk.
Yes.
And he sneaks into the Tusken Raider village.
Yep. And manages to free Shmi just in time to watch her die.
Yeah, firstly, she dies with him there, and he goes what can be best described as Rogue One corridor scene.
Yes, very much so. So, and obviously we cut to Yoda watching a little montage, listening to a little montage of everything going south. Yeah.
Qui-Gon's voice.
Yes, Qui-Gon's in there, and his reaction is, well, that was a thing. That was a ride.
Yeah. Isn't it where Mace Windu comes in and just sits cross-legged next to him waiting for him to speak?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one.
It's just a weird action.
Yes. I feel like if I did that at your house, you'd be a little bit weirded out.
Thank you. What I mean? It's just a weird direction.
Yeah. I think you'd be weirded out partly because you'd be like, why? How can he sit cross-legged? He's massive.
What's wrong? He's like a mantis. What is he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't say which religion the praying
we get that
mantis
side
prayed.
wipe, and I think then is it the Sonic Mind sequence?
I don't know. I think we've seen the Sonic Minds by this point.
Okay. But he's followed him to Geonosis.
Yeah. Yeah, that much is I think you've definitely by this point reached Geonosis, because the next scene with Anakin and Padme is burying Anakin's mother.
Yeah.
And then R2 comes up and says, where have you been? Basically, like, you've got about 86 voicemails. Where have you been?
You smell like burn wounds, yeah.
And
not for the last time, Martin.
No, indeed. Yeah, you might want to get used to that. And also, the smell question, R2, that raises more questions. So they go and find the voicemails, and they find that Obi-Wan's basically contacted him while he's on Geonosis, and then that's when he gets attacked by droidicas.
Yes, that's it.
And
so see the droidica ordering into the field.
Yes, and then he forwards it to the Jedi Council, who then turn around and say, "Stay where you are, we'll sort it out." And then Padme goes to Geonosis with Anakin in tow. Obviously, we've had the not just the men, but the women and the children too.
Yeah,
which is I quite like that.
It's my Tinder bio.
Fair, yeah. I think that's probably one of the better bits of storytelling in the film. Maybe the acting is a little bit OTT, but at the same time, it kind of needs to be.
Yeah, but it's
hard.
Faster, more intense. Yeah.
It's a tricky one. Yeah, it needs to be a certain level of. He needs to be raging, and he needs to be not just raging, but raging at himself as well, because as he sort of rightly points out, he's supposed to be setting the example. Yeah, to the galaxy, and he's not doing that. He's
killing a lot of people. Yeah.
Killing a lot of people, and it does seem like the Sand People thing is not given the gravitas it needs in universe. Like, if I went to Colchester and just wiped everybody out,
yes,
it would be worthy of remark.
Some discussion.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe we talk about it off air, but I feel we'd talk about it.
I definitely think you would talk about it. I think you'd be like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, well...
Yeah, Padme's very forgiving of it, isn't she?
She's a little overly... Yeah, she does seem a little bit too... I can change him.
Yeah.
I doubt very much it's that, but just made me laugh a bit. But yeah, it's just that whole kind of, I'm a Jedi. I know I'm better than this. And she's like, well, aim high. do the requisite learning, and see how you get on.
Prayers, eat your vegetables.
Yeah, exactly. See how you get on, I guess. And see how,
I have no idea.
Revisit it in a few weeks. I don't know. I'm not expecting her to put him through like a course of CBT or anything, but it does seem like she does kind of just, I suppose, would you know what to say?
No, I guess not, maybe. But no, she just seems very forgiving of it.
It does seem odd. I don't understand.
And obviously, it never gets brought up ever again.
No, it's Palpatine who mentions it next in episode 3, right?
Yeah.
Or he's like, you remember what you told me about that village you murdered?
Yeah.
He's like, I did tell him that.
Yeah. We're good friends.
I'd forgotten all about
that. Really
that.
drunk.
Yeah,
I had 4 naans. Yeah.
I'd eat 2 dinners because I knew I could. But yeah, like you say, he does. It's never mentioned again in the film. Obi-Wan's not like, what were you doing on Tatooine? It's like, well, and why do you smell like cauterized wounds?
Yeah.
Well,
funny story.
Yeah.
I'm trying it out.
They're not entirely they're not entirely unrelated.
Yeah.
But so we go to
Anakin and Padme go to Geonosis.
Obi-Wan is imprisoned, and then we see Dooku
properly
behind the scenes, because we've had a little bit of, because obviously Obi-Wan's looking through at the table and watching them have their meeting.
Yes.
And reports back before he's captured.
That's it. Yeah.
So that's when you find out the Trade Federation is behind the assassination attempt. Mm-hmm. They have a little bit with the Techno Union that's a bit comedy.
Yeah.
Which is, fine. It's quick and it's inoffensive.
Yeah. What tumble?
Yeah, it's fine. And then, Dooku and Obi-Wan meet behind the scenes. The first time they've ever encountered each other. Obviously, Dooku knows him through kind of, vicariously through Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And this is where you first kind of see, how best to describe it? It's when Dooku goes for the kind of quite bold play of revealing the entire plan.
He does monologue, yeah.
Yeah. It just...
Yeah, at the same time, doesn't properly explain the backstory of the film.
No, this is true. But it does seem... I don't know. It does seem a little bit odd that he kind of... I've never quite understood what the end game is with that. Because he's like, what if I told you there was a Sith Lord in charge of the Senate, and you feel like Sidious is just going, dude, Ixnay on the NSA. It's an odd... I'd be interested to kind of think about what the end game is there. Like, what, let's say Obi-Wan believes him, then what? Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't... I don't quite get... Is it just for kind of a test of the Jedi's hubris?
I guess. Or it feels a very Bond villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, which obviously Chris Lee has experience of.
Sure. I mean, if anybody does in that cast, it's definitely him.
Yeah.
Having been the only one that I can recall.
Yes, certainly.
The most famous one.
Yeah, I mean, Galen Erso doesn't really count.
No, well, yeah, I'm talking... Sorry, yeah, I'm talking specifically in this film.
Right, okay.
I would watch Ian McDiarmid do it.
Yeah, totally.
But then I'd watch him do his taxes. Just because I feel like he would occasionally just go, good. I've submitted the requisite paperwork and this expense has... I don't know. That's how I imagine tax filling is.
Issue my P66.
That's for expensing for a clone army, right?
Yeah. Military funding expenses.
Yes. So
right.
Yeah, so we've had this plot revealed, right? And I say I find it weird and difficult to believe that there's an end game, or what the end game is in terms of what's the upside to revealing your entire plan to Obi-Wan.
Absolutely none.
It's odd.
No, it's odd. Yeah. So then it's Anakin and Padme try and sneak into Geonosis through a droid factory in a process that can be best described as an episode of Funhouse.
Yeah, and it's also the beginning of the really woeful 3PO puns.
Oh, it's 3PO's with them.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yes. Well, because he comes back to Tatooine, finds a droid he's started building and never finished, and nicks it.
Yeah.
Because let's be fair.
It does.
Well, so
just yoink him.
Because otherwise, my question is also, why is he at the Lars homestead?
Yeah, does he just come with Shmi as a package deal?
I guess so. Like, it's odd. Like, he's got I got an offer on.
Yeah.
Buy a slave, get the droid free. Sold that scene.
Yeah, that is weird.
I've never thought about it until this moment.
Or maybe they bought the droid and she came with.
I'd like to buy a unfinished protocol droid, please. Well, you're in luck. This also comes with a woman. What? This is no way to run a business. I think you'll find I think it's a perfect way to run a business. You're about to buy, aren't you? I mean, yeah, but I won't lie. I'm weirded out. It's peculiar. Like the logic you have to come to, like, is Watto just having a clear out, and he's just like, well, I'll probably make some use out of that half finished droid.
Yeah, I've not really thought about it before, which is why it broke me. And yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, he's with them because, of course. He goes, well, I mean, my wife's dead. I certainly don't have any use for this droid. It's just reminding me of what once was. So you can totally take him with you.
Yeah.
It's one of the more...
They bury her about 10 feet from the kitchen as well, which I feel has to cause problems. And now every time I see the binary sunset shot in A New Hope, I'm aware that Luke is walking on his grandmother.
Yeah, well, it's, I don't know whether they would have told him.
No, maybe not.
No.
They kept quite a lot from him, in fairness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, arguably. Yeah. So we go from. So yeah, he's in the. We're in the droid factory, right? So he's in the droid factory, and like I say, this is the bit where the really bad
series of car horns and slide whistles.
It's really bad. And let's say there's one in there that really grates on me for two reasons. It's where he's hanging from the platform and being kind of ferried about, and it's all kind of gone a bit chaotic.
Yeah.
And he delivers the line, "It's a nightmare." What is a droid's nightmare but the number 2?
You knew where I was going.
Yeah, it's... What?
Yeah, it's...
Also, not for nothing, he's hanging off a thing. How's he gripping? It's metal on metal.
He's got opposable thumbs, isn't he?
No. He's just got kind of solid, like, hands, hasn't he?
I thought he had opposable thumbs. He's able to pick up a communicator in A New Hope.
Yeah, but I feel like he just props that in the crevice.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I assumed he had opposable thumbs. Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he does. But if you think back to, like, New Hope, I can sort of... the way I remember it is that kind of... It's...
action figure grip.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah. And
well, he can drive a land speeder.
Yeah, I suppose he can. Unless he can interface with it in a way that Luke and Obi-Wan can't. I made that sound weird.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. But it's the thing of, like I say, it's a nightmare has always grated on me because a robot has no frame of reference for that.
No.
It's just one of those daft things that's like, and I don't even know what it adds. Even if you ignore that line, even if he's just hanging off the thing.
I'm of the opinion a lot of C-3PO's arc and certainly a lot of his jokes were originally supposed to be delivered by Jar Jar Binks. It was only when there was the massive backlash against Binks that they rewrote the script to be around 3PO.
I'd be interested to hear behind the scenes on that.
In Attack of the Clones doesn't act like C-3PO does in any other Star Wars movie. So it's very Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, so in the droid factory, you're thinking especially, is Jar Jar is meant to be Jar Jar. Do you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I'd be interested to see.
I don't know if it's true, but it's just something I've always felt.
Yeah,
somehow I've always known.
Nice. I'm trying to think of like I kind of want a Secret History of Star Wars equivalent.
Yeah.
But that just kind of delves more heavily into the prequel era because there's not a lot of behind the scenes stuff about those things, I guess. Not to the degree that we'd need to be able to kind of confirm this stuff. It needs to be like a behind the music kind of setup.
Yeah.
But obviously with film.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I figured
an updated Behind the Magic is what we need.
That'd be nice.
It would be lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I'd also settle for a good
if you're listening, Disney.
I'd also settle for an updated Star Warped.
Yeah.
That's a fun.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that before.
Fun bit of fan service. So then from there, Droid Factory, captured, Coliseum, best bit of the film.
Yes.
Coliseum's great.
Coliseum's great.
From the start to finish, that bit's great.
Padme tells Anakin that she loves him is kind of important.
Yes. I think the way it's the dialogue is a little bit ropey.
Yes.
But I do really enjoy that scene despite that.
Yeah.
It's the music, Across the Stars swells, they're being led out into the Coliseum. It's that shot where they're sort of kissing over the little chariot thing they're in.
Yeah.
It's a really nicely put together scene.
Yeah.
And it does have that bit, shortly afterwards, does have one of the better puns in the film. Or one of the better jokes, at least. One of the better comedy moments. So they're being strapped up to the wall, and Obi-Wan realizes that they're there, and he says, "Oh, we were coming to rescue you." And he looks, it's just the look, just the withering look upwards, and good job. That got a lot of laughs from the cinema we were seeing it in. It went down very well.
Mm-hmm.
So then
I've got to look for it. There's like a spoof IMDb trivia.
Okay.
For Attack of the Clones. During the filming of Attack of the Clones, Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen, in their scenes together, played a prank on George Lucas by pretending they'd never acted before. Lucas loved to prank so much he ended up using most of the footage in the final cut.
Fun.
Yeah.
So this whole scene from the Coliseum onwards is really, really good. And you get the kind
loads of lightsabers.
Yes, very much. But even the bit up until that point where they're escaping their confines is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy that too.
Yeah. And
then obviously the Jedi turn up. How they managed to infiltrate the Coliseum in such numbers is odd. Like, you wonder who was on security that day and where were they?
Well, they weren't. They were all watching the show.
Maybe that's it, actually. Maybe that's the kind of, it's implied that they just weren't on their game at all.
Yeah. Tech ceasefire.
Yeah, maybe. I'll pretend to understand that reference. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So we see Mace Windu. Is that the first time we see him ignite his lightsaber?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is an awesome colour.
Yeah. Bit weird, but yeah.
It is a bit weird, but, it works for me. And then we have, obviously, the really awesome Coliseum scene, which punctuated with really awful C-3PO jokes.
I'm quite beside myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It's just.
Doesn't he get a battle droid's head?
Yes.
Soldered onto it. Like, why would? Do you have any idea how many different USB sockets there are?
Yep.
It's a lot. Why would a battle droid have the same connector to its head socket as a protocol droid from at least a decade ago?
Yeah, and also not for nothing, but protocol droid that has not been kept, like you say, he's not been kept up to date.
No,
he's not. It's not like he's being retrofitted with, Bluetooth.
Yeah, it's
odd.
It's just weird.
Yeah, it's stuff like that is just odd.
Yeah,
and it's I'm not convinced that. I mean, I suppose software you could arguably it might work. I'm just thinking about, he goes from. There's moments where he's like a killing machine. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there thinking, is that how that would work? But then I suppose if it depends where the software is. There might be integration testing issues.
I feel we're analysing it more than the original writers did now.
Yeah, I think that's probably true, actually.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have the really cool lightsaber fights with Dooku and Anakin, and then Dooku and Obi-Wan is briefly there, but not very much at all.
We forgot the bit where the Latis come down and fly them over, chasing after Dooku on his moped.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and Padme falls out the side loader of the Lati.
Yes.
And Anakin wants to chase after her, and Obi-Wan convinces him not to go.
Yes. In hindsight, probably wish she had.
Mm-hmm.
Did certainly have more arms.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of that Jedi overruling what Anakin wants to do, which is for anyone who says his turn came out of nowhere wasn't paying attention.
I don't think, certainly not now, anybody is making that claim. Maybe back in the day, but
not so much anymore. It was his turn is seeded so well.
Yeah, totally.
It was done so well, a lot of people didn't notice.
I think basically, ultimately, it comes down to it was the main thing of the film. You kind of have to do it well. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the primary reason to have prequels at all. Because, you know, as much as we all love young Obi-Wan, and we do, he's not the primary subject of the movies.
No, I agree.
It's all about Anakin's fall.
Yeah, and they do it well.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Then Dooku's little moped arrives.
I'm just picturing Dooku, like, as he's being chased, just pulling over to the hard shoulder, just popping a helmet on. Like maybe putting some elbow pads and then back on the road.
Listening to Funky Moped by Jasper Carrot.
So they have their, you know, like I say, they have a little very brief 2-on-1 and then a little 1-on-1. And I'm talking really brief 2-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there's something about Obi-Wan in the prequels. You know he can fight, but nobody seems to want to let him have a go. Until Grievous.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because he's too good.
Maybe. They're all just afraid, like, I can't let him get a shot in. I better kick him into a wall. And that's what they do. So, you know, he ends up, on the floor. And then Yoda turns up. And when I saw it in the cinema in 2002, when he got his lightsaber out and started flipping around, everybody openly laughed. Quite derisively.
I didn't have that in my cinema. I thought it was a bit goofy.
Yeah.
I think I've said before, to me, first of all, I found it weird that Yoda had a lightsaber at all. That's very incongruous with the peaceful teachings he has. I mean, it makes sense he would have one, but it was weird he was so ready to use it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think I've said before, the way Luke fights in The Last Jedi is how Yoda should have fought in Attack of the Clones to me. It's like that Bruce Lee fighting without fighting. Yeah, it's all about defense, parry, countering, and dodges, and using momentum. That rather than spinning round like Sonic the Hedgehog, that's to me how Yoda should have fought. Mm-hmm. To use Dooku's anger against him rather than to be this spinning ball of fury. Yeah. It does, I think the reason it got such a resounding kind of derision's a really strong way of putting it, but the reason it was so kind of giggled at in the cinema was just because it was so incongruous with what we knew of Yoda. I mean, there was bits about him I thought were really cool, like the absorbing the Force lightning was awesome. Yeah. Now I'm more aware of it and I'm ready for it. I like it more. Okay. I think it was that initial shock was a bit not sure. Yeah, but now obviously now I've seen him fight in Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars and stuff. I'm more used to the idea. I like it more. Yeah, I suppose one of those ones probably it's probably the prequel equivalent of going back after you've seen Rogue One to see how the Tarkin thing looks now that you know it's there. Yeah. It's kind of that equivalent, I guess. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Not to the same degree, because I think the modern Star Wars films have very much been shooting for that. Yeah. There's something you're going to see that you're going to have to go back and watch again to kind of get your head around. Which, I mean, it's a way of
doing film. You can say what you like about it. I mean, ultimately,
no, I think
sense.
I think a lot of stories do that. It's just Star Wars is the one we revisit most, so we tend to notice it more.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know if there's a lot of. I'm trying to think of a film that kind of trades so heavily on its twists and it's twists but surprises more than twists as Star Wars does, because it plays itself closer to the chest than any series I can think of.
Only really as of Force Awakens, that never used to be the case.
Yeah, I'm talking like Disney era. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because even Rogue One, Solo. Obviously Solo has Darth
their big
Maul.
thing they like to keep secret because combating spoilers is such a big part of marketing now.
Yes, indeed. But I think, I feel like it would be the equivalent of, of that kind of, oh wow, they put Tarkin in it and they made him look awesome.
Yeah.
I better go back and look at it now that I know that and kind of evaluate it on face value rather than...
Rogue One just gets better every time I watch it anyway,
it really
to be
does.
honest.
Yeah, it really does.
Oh, Krennic.
Yeah. A bit of Mendo.
Yeah, I need to read your Catalyst, actually.
Attack of the Clones could have done with that. A bit more Mendo.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, just in the background. It doesn't even have to be Krennic. Just
put him in the last shot of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Well, not the last shot, because he'd be on the last family homestead, but you know what I mean. Really, Lars? Farming?
Oh, my landscapes.
Yeah. Moisture farming.
So, how do we go from here? We get to...
from there...
Yoda obviously saves the day.
Yoda saves the day because doesn't Dooku go to crush Obi-Wan,
yes.
and Yoda gets distracted in order to save him, giving Dooku time to leg it?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, fine. This isn't one where he stabs Grima. He runs out to his ship.
Yep.
Or a droid vessel waiting for him.
Yep.
Takes him back up to his space yacht, and he flies off. Mm-hmm. Where do we pick up from there?
I'm trying to think, because we go to Anakin and Padme eventually, but before that, I think we go to Coruscant with the Jedi.
Yes, we do, because the last shot is the wedding.
Yes. Is that the last shot, or is it the clones?
No, the last shot is Anakin, Padme, 3PO and R2, because they're actually standing in the same formation as Luke, Leia, 3PO and R2 at the end of Empire.
Ah, okay. Nice little symmetry there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, so they go from the Jedi surveying the clones, and Obi-Wan saying, at least we won, or like something to that effect, and Yoda's like, you don't know what you're talking about, mate.
Is that also chronologically the first time we hear the Imperial March?
Yes, I think it is.
Don't believe it's in Phantom Menace.
I think you're right. I don't think there is an Imperial March in there for sure. I think it's because it's foreshadowing, obviously, that, right now it's the Republic, but this is what's going to sort of await.
Kylo Ren's theme's in Phantom Menace, but that's it.
Yeah. So then we go from there to Naboo. It does seem odd to me that they just accepted that he's just gone with no real, did anybody find out why he's gone?
Who, sorry?
Anakin.
Yeah, he's escorting Padme back to Naboo, is what he's told them.
Yeah.
That's established. They don't know that he's getting married, but he has told them he's escorting Padme back to Naboo.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. So then we get, obviously, Across the Stars plays again, and you're just
wow.
You're just like, wow, what am I about to get some Asajj Ventress dialogue? But
yeah.
But so yeah, that ends the film, as you say. As you rightly point out, that's how the film ends. Mm-hmm. And then credits.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, as movies go, like I say, it's kind of second.
It's still one I watch. It's not my favourite of the Star Wars movies.
No.
Of the saga movies, it's probably of the 8 we've had. It's probably my saga. Talking saga, not talking spin-offs.
Mm-hmm.
of the 8 numbered movies, it's probably my 7th favourite.
Okay.
It's but that's not to say I dislike it, because that still makes it the 7th best film ever made. That's a pretty good rank.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So, 8th if we're including Fury Road. And there's a lot to like in it. There's some questionable artistic decisions.
Yes. To
my mind, that mar it but don't ruin it. Mm-hmm. That's really how I come down on it. Of all the Star Wars movies, it is my favourite soundtrack album.
Okay.
It's just superb.
I think Jedi still has it for me.
Jedi's just really good. Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and probably Rogue One are my favourite soundtracks.
Rogue One is fantastic.
Yeah. I think Across the Stars is genuinely, probably, even regardless of being Star Wars, is my favourite piece of classical music. I just think it's so beautiful and so dramatic, and everything that I love about Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And so there's loads of really great stuff. I love Christopher Lee. He's, like I say, he's genuinely a hero of mine. Mm-hmm. Natalie Portman wears some lovely outfits in it. There's a lot to like in this film, and it's just, unfortunately, there's also a lot to dislike, and it kind of averages out, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think there's very few who disagree. I'm
not crapping on it by any extent, because it's still a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's one I do revisit fairly often as I do my timeline crawl. Mm-hmm. I've always in my mind, before it came out, I assumed it was going to be set during the Clone Wars. I wasn't really anticipating it being
the build-up to the Clone Wars, because they'd always made a big deal of the Clone Wars being this big deal. Yeah. And
then if you only do the saga movies, you get the first Battle of the Clone Wars and the last Battle of the Clone Wars. It really glosses over the whole Clone Wars. And I get that for the most part, Star Wars is not a war movie or a war series.
Yeah.
But that always just struck me as a little bit odd.
Yeah, I do get what you mean. It's,
when I was a kid, I always assumed all 3 prequels were going to be during the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and it would be
with an adult Anakin. I wasn't anticipating
that far back. But we did get Qui-Gon out of that, so that's good.
I'm not playing at all. It's just in my head when I was a little kid, if hearing about them we might do episodes 1 to 3 at some point, they'd always just be. I pictured, I suppose, because ages spread it out weird, I always imagined Anakin was older than like 22. Mm-hmm. I mean, how old is he when he becomes, if he's 10 years old in?
Probably about 21, 22.
If he's 22 in, according to to my mind, it was just strange, because if he's born in 42, BBY, then it's what the Darth Vader we see in A New Hope is 40. That always just seemed young to me.
Yeah, he's kind of like late 40s, mid 40s, I guess.
Well, no, if he's born 42 BBY, then no BBY would be 42.
Well, yeah, that would be. Yeah, we're approximating, I guess.
Rock maths. So there's. I always thought it seemed young to me. In my head, he was older.
Yeah,
possibly because he's had a bit of a hard life.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I think he's had it rough compared to some.
But also, I think it's also just because ages are harder to judge when you're a kid as well.
That's also true, yeah.
Luke must be like 30, I guess. And so
not so much.
His dad's got Darth Vader must be 50, 60.
Yeah.
But, obviously, that's not the case. But when you're a kid, ages are harder to judge. And as you get older, the ages of kids are hard to judge as well.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I
see a child and I was like, this kid is aged somewhere between 7 and 15.
Yeah. I used to be, when I was younger, I was really good at it because I worked in an off license, and of course you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
But as I've got older, as I've got older and stopped working in off licenses because there are rules in place now, I found myself it's utterly impossible to kind of to judge ages of anybody. I find it's just I don't even entertain it anymore, just because it's such a impossible exercise. I mean, granted, my lifestyle is such that it doesn't really come up, which is nice. But, certainly I'm not selling any alcohol, so that's good.
No. I got ID'd a few months ago. I don't look like a young man.
No.
I'm aware of this. And they ID'd me for a can of an energy drink. I don't know if it was Monster or Red Bull.
Okay, so were you at one of those automated tills?
No, it was one of those idiot man tills, which was the issue. Yeah, and I was just buying a Monster or a Red Bull or something like that.
Yeah,
and they asked for IDs, and you've got to be 16. And
it's challenge 25, isn't it, for energy drinks? Same as
even
booze
so. Yeah. I pity the 25-year-old who looks like me.
I used to know somebody who was younger than me who looked like me, like a younger version of me. No. What? No. That
was last week's joke about Peter Cushing always looks old.
Yeah. No, there was a guy who used to go to the pub that I used to frequent quite a bit who looked like a younger version of me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very peculiar. But everybody always used to go, it's young Rob. I was like, sod off. How about no? Yeah. Leave the poor kid some hope.
So they asked me for ID. It's like, I just said, look, I have a beard.
Yeah.
I have a full sleeve tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm paying on my credit card, and you can see I've got my car keys in my hand.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, I'm also buying Calpol.
Yeah.
Do you really think I'm 15?
I mean, that is what a 15-year-old would say to call their bluff.
Well, yeah, it's a hell. By that point, if they've gone to that much effort for the disguise,
just let them have it.
If they're that desperate for Red Bull, that they're also forking out for Calpol as well.
Yeah, exactly. At that point,
it's infant paracetamol, if that's not called Calpol in whatever country you're listening in.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they call it in baby cough syrup.
I don't know.
Not baby cough syrup as in tiny. But for children. It's children's cough syrup.
Single serving cough syrup.
Like in a little shot glass. Just with a lid. That's it. Yeah. Just ship it. Just like a little shot glass that's covered, that's full covered, and then they just ship that. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Love that stuff. Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
You get ID'd in Attack of the Clones. Okay.
Yeah, we're just bringing it back to Attack of the Clones. What we're talking about
it's the seventh best film ever made. What's your opinion of it?
It's of the live action saga films, it's my least favourite, but at the same time, I still, like I say, as I mentioned at the top of the bit, I happily sit and watch it if it's on anytime.
Yep, a lot of good bits in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it will always kind of have this fond recollection of, I went to see all the original 6 with my dad and that stuff. So I always kind of think back to those, those conversations after the movie and all the, just the fun it was to kind of go to those films and make it a little sort of family thing for the longest time. Up until I think Rogue One, it was a family thing. 7 was. I
always went with my mum. I think the only one I did because we had a small person by that point. I didn't go and see Last Jedi or Solo with my mum and dad, but all the other ones I have.
Okay.
But I suppose after Episode 9, the next Star Wars movie, then my daughter will be old enough to go into the cinema for it.
Yeah, that's there's an upside there for sure. Yeah. But I think for this week, that's probably all I've got in the tank. I am conscious of the fact it is getting late.
Yeah, it is. You've got editing to do.
Indeed, yes. Thankfully, not too much. Most of my notes are about things we talked about.
Work your way through my meandering poodoo as normal.
Well, I tend to leave a lot of that in, to be honest, because people seem to like it.
People like it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And if they don't, then podcast at emotionally14.com is the place to tell me. Try my best to make these 10 years.
And you're still listening after a year, get another hobby.
I mean, I don't know. Well, no, don't. Just to be clear, as the showrunner, don't do that. But yeah, I'm just trying to find a way to sort of seamlessly transition into outros, but I've never quite managed to land it.
No, we just cause the end of it kind of shudder to a halt is what we do.
Yeah, well, one day I'll crack it, but I won't. I'll try not to acknowledge it because that would probably make it worse. But if you've enjoyed the show, then you can. If you haven't already done so, you can subscribe using any good podcast provider. We're on all of them, to my recollection.
If we're not on one, then let us know.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do so. In addition to submitting listener questions, which obviously, as you might have heard today, we could have done with. Although we ended up going for over 2 hours on Attack of the Clones included. So, it's a Dooku-heavy episode.
But we might as well have done the commentary by that point.
I did, I was tempted to just suggest it, especially when in the pre-run up to the show, I was having issues with power supplies, and power to the flat. But those issues resolved themselves, so it became a moot point.
We do need to make an effort to start doing some commentaries because it's been a while since you and I have watched movies together, if nothing else.
The last time we watched the movies was probably when we did that live action show.
We tend to watch New Hope at New Year.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm talking about like anything other than New Hope.
Yeah.
That's probably that. We're probably going that far back, I would have thought.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, we could do this TV shows and stuff we can do as well. It's cool.
Yeah, that's true. So podcast at emotionally14.com is where you get in touch with regards to comments, feedback, questions, what the works. It doesn't have to be about, I realise that obviously we're Talk Star Wars, but at the same time, if you want to just know stuff about us and about the show and about various things, just chuck them in. I'm a relatively open book with some exceptions. Mm-hmm. But I think, none of the exceptions I would argue are particularly surprising or unreasonable. So, try your luck. You never know. You might find the subject I'm willing to talk about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, what's that 3-digit number on the back of the card? Why do people keep asking? Oh, damn it. Podcast at emotionally14.com. Talkstarwars.co.uk. You can access the show directly, but it's also on emotionally14.com every Monday. If you want to get it slightly earlier, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/talkstarwars and becoming a patron for as little as $1 per month, which will get you an ad-free version of the show, which drops on a Saturday in the UK, and associated time zones may vary, but it will give you the ad-free feed. Any other shows we do, so Robcast and Tim doing things like TSW Comics and the Roundtable, will make their way onto the feed for Patreon slightly earlier than the main feed as well. So it's the best way to kind of get the show slightly earlier. And it's obviously a nice way of contributing towards our running costs, which are always any contribution towards that. Yeah, absolutely. It's, much obliged. Talk Star Wars is on Twitter and Facebook by visiting Talk Star Wars on any of the aforementioned social medias. It's also on Instagram, although, it's certainly there. Brad, where can people find you on social media between shows?
If you want to, you can check out my other Star Wars show, Fire When Ready, Adventures in Star Wars Tabletop Gaming, which is available at emotionally14.com, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Fire When Ready UK. If you want to be my friend on Facebook, you can find me at facebook.com/Brad Harbour Barnes, and if you want to follow me on Twitter and or Instagram, you can do so at RealBradHB. In addition, you can also buy my books through Amazon.
Yes, you can, and there is a place on emotionally14.com where you can do that, which is the Team E14 page. There's a little link underneath your face, so people can click the books and then buy them.
I've been there long enough.
Yeah, that seems fair. I can be found on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision. If you're dealing with any of the social media accounts, you're probably talking to me. Otherwise, that's the main one. So Emotionally14 and Talk Star Wars have both got Twitter and Instagrams. Their names are what they are. So at Emotionally14 at Talk Star Wars. You mentioned YouTube, but it's all accessible through emotionally14.com. We're also the Talk Star Wars represents both E14 and the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. So that's 8 wonderful shows. Talk Star Wars, Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, The Nerd Room, Rogue Squadron Podcast, the San Diego Sabres Radio Podcast, Retro Inc., and the Sandcrawler Cast. All well worth your time. In a lot of cases, they have patrons, and they're also worth your money. And you can find all of that stuff on StarWarsCommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world.
Boom.
Thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars this week. We will see you next week for episode 170. And until then, may the Force be with you.